Yo, 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 yo. Echo. What going on, my people? It's your boy Jason Gooner, and we are back in the studio, people, for another episode of Reasoning Time. This is episode 19, and in this segment, we usually take a few topics going on in Jamaica football, and we have a deep discussion about them. So today, people, the title of the show is the Dennis Chung Domino Effect. People, Dennis Chung Domino Effect. We know that he offered his resignation to the JFF, took on a big role with the FID, with the government. That's another story for another day about what he's going through there. Today, we're going to talk about the domino effect that's caused by that resignation. So, the title, the thumbnail, you see a picture that is Roy Simpson, the new acting general secretary. And also, since he has vacated his general manager role with the JFF teams, he now has moved out of that role and it has been assumed by one Mr. Omar McFarland. So, we're going to talk about these two appointments as acting GenSec, acting general manager, and just talk about from my perspective how we got here. And we want to analyze as well, is this the right move? So you'll see a comment, a poll in the comment section. I want you guys to participate in that. I'm trying to gauge how fans are feeling about this shakeup in the JFF. So I have a question about Roy Simpson. How confident are you of him assuming this role as the acting general secretary at this current time? I think I have very confident, kind of indifferent, wait and see, and not very confident. I think those are the three options. So I'm interested to see and gauge how the fans are feeling about this appointment. Are fans even thinking about it? Do they even care? I think a part of the reason why these announcements were made when they were, I think it was strategic on the part of the JFF. There's a lot going on with the teams right now. The women had a game, the men's World Cup qualifiers coming up right after the Unity Cup, which I think galvanized the fan base to some extent. So I think this type of news and this bombshell type of news was really, I know the timing probably wasn't planned by them because, Chung was going to resign when he was going to resign. They had to put someone else in the role. But at the same time, I do think it fell at a good time for them because most content creators in the space would be really focused on the squad announcements and all these things, which I myself have done the same. I've really, I made Reggae Girls live show with the US women's team. And then yesterday, of course, we had this full World Cup squad breakdown from my point of view. So I am guilty of it as well. But I do think that I wanted to make some time today for this content because I do think that it's an important conversation to be had. We know that we're coming out of a period with the JFF where we have built up a bit of credit with the public in terms of seeking new sponsors, better turnouts at games, a little more fan engagement in the social media side of things. So a lot of those things, I think would have been brought about by Mr. Chung being in the building, taking on more tasks, trying to increase visibility of the teams in general in the social media space, a space that I think they were struggling to tap into for a very, very long time. So there's a lot of positive that has come out of his time with the JFF. We can go down the list of things. The first thing I heard him say was getting tax compliant. Now, I happen to know some folks who run businesses in Jamaica, and I was always downplaying that as something, I'm saying to myself, look, if you have a business and you're tax compliant, that should be the least you should be doing. But apparently in Jamaica, based on how the tax code is and everything, a lot of businesses are not actually tax compliant if you ask and call him right now today. So for him to keep saying that, I was trying to understand why this is so important. Why is this so important? It seems like something that should just be happening. But apparently in Jamaica, when you have a business in Jamaica and you're running a business, being tax compliant is not the easiest thing to do. So he was able to get that done. Also, we're taking off restricted funding with FIFA. That only could have been possible after, certain processes would have been put in place to track spending a lot better. Checks and balances put in place. Also, processes to make sure that in the future, we don't fall into a similar path. And that's one of the things I had asked him in the last time I got to speak with him in a press conference. I asked him how confident he was of what he has put in place, the framework, can that just be a plug and play? So we're putting anybody else in the role, and we have these frameworks in place where we can't at least go around this framework, which has gotten us to where we are today. And the last thing I think that Chung has to be credited for is, with that credit being built up with the public, I think that extends into the public sector and private sector of Jamaica, right? So, a lot of private sector investment has been coming to the team of late. We saw Wisinko jump on board. Big ups to, I saw Erin Mitchell, a longtime classmate from high school. I see she's, I think managing director at Wisinko. So yeah, it was cool to see her in that photograph with the JFF brass, pledging their sponsorship to the JFF. But I think that's something that definitely we'll have to say that he played a big role in, as with his roles before. I think he was head of PSOJ at one point. So yeah, I think that, and also another thing that I think has impressed me about Chung over his tenure, he hasn't really shied away from what some would consider the harshest critics of the JFF, and that's some of the YouTube platforms. I saw him on Elite Sports with Ryan. I saw him on Cranky Live with Cranky a few times. And I think I saw him on I Am Sure Sports as well. So, he has made the rounds on the YouTube space in terms of, getting his vision out there, fielding questions, taking ideas on board. I think one of the things that jumped out at me as well, people had a lot of praise. Anybody who dealt with him directly, whether it's I've heard people from the Reggae Boys and Girls Supporters Club speak highly. I heard One Umbrella Sports, the two entities that I think are really driving to galvanize the fan base in terms of the diaspora and locally. They have spoken highly of their dealings with him. So that's something that you always have to give credit to. When people deal with people and they have a certain idea of how they operate and how they are, then I think you have to take that into consideration, right? You have to basically say, okay, this guy must be doing some things right, because everyone he comes in contact with has good things to say. No, it wasn't all good as far as what I was hearing about Dennis Chung. I think sometimes I think it's pretty clear that he kind of rules with an iron fist, which I think at the time the JFF probably needed, because there definitely was a shakeup that needed to happen in that building. Some of the things that have been reported about just the overall, I guess you could say, work rate of the JFF staff. Times when you would turn up to work and no one is in the building, and it's well into the morning hours. Reports like that would come in, and I think the culture has somewhat changed there, in terms of people realizing how important it is to show up to work, and be at work, So yeah, there's while it wasn't all good, I think when you look at what was done and what was achieved, it must be considered a successful time as the GenSec. Now, one of the things that I thought made it an easy sell for the public to put Dennis Chung in this position that he had was, you cannot argue against his business acumen, and not only business acumen, but especially inside the realm of Jamaican business, right? So he has held numerous posts on different sides, private entities, he's run those, government run projects, he has run those. So I think he has a good understanding of all the different aspects at play when you're talking about the cog of the JFF and how they operate, right? Because you're getting investment from the government itself, you're getting investment from government entities that are formed to provide investment to sporting entities in Jamaica, and you're also having to deal with the public sector, the private sector as well, because you want to seek sponsorships from them to add on to whatever the government is putting in, right? So with him having that knowledge of working on both sides, I think that would have helped with his communication with all of these different entities you would have to talk to. And I think that's why, again, it was an easier sell to the public. Dennis Chung, who maybe, he was with the SDF at one time, so you can't say he wasn't involved in sports before. But I think maybe that was the one pushback, was like, what has he done with JFF football before? But he had been involved in football in various capacities, in some form. So I think that was an easy to push back against as well. But I think overall, when Dennis Chung's name was coming out as the GenSec, most people, it's easy to understand how he would have even been a candidate for it because of his history. Now, my question to the public and to you all, and I'm going to have a segment today where we do have call-ins because I do want to hear people's thoughts on it. I'm going to try to get my thoughts out there in the first 30, 45 minutes or so, and then I will open up the phone line for people to call if they want to have their say as well. But for me, I don't know if it's as easy as sell, because that GenSec position, I believe, while you do have to have a pretty high knowledge of how football is run, which I think over the years in his various capacities as team manager, assistant manager, moving through the ranks up to general manager, he has a pretty good grasp of, the things that need to be done in terms of a team having what it needs to, for instance, go to a tournament or something of that nature. So those football side of things, I don't really worry about Roy Simpson so much, just based on repetition. He has done it for many, many years. So I would never question his knowledge in that role. But I do think that when you move into this general secretary realm now, what kind of acumen does he hold in these meetings when he's acquiring sponsorship? How versed is he with the accounting matters? These are the questions I think need to be asked. And I'm hopeful that, as open and transparent as as Dennis Chung would have been with the YouTube creators and various traditional media and so on and so forth, we see similar from Roy Simpson, because I think right now, and if I'm looking at the TV people, I'm watching Coco as well. Sorry, I'm just going to be honest. It's a rotted point, this. Okay, smash that now. What do you mean? All right, yeah. So those are the questions I would love to have asked, and I would love to hear how he deals with them as well. So this is a call to Mr. Simpson himself. You have an open invitation here if you would like to come on this platform. I don't necessarily interview much, so there are other creators in the space that kind of do that more. The Ryans of the world, the Crankies of the world. I hope that if you are being reached out to, you are accepting and going to come on, willing to come on, because I do think that there will be some questions asked of you. I'm going to ask a few myself here, but I just want to see the general tone and how people feel about it. Again, I think it's kind of in the background right now because people are kind of euphoric about the games, and we want to see if we get through these 2 games and get to that next stage of the World Cup qualifying. But I do feel like once the summer dies down and all the games are finished being played, I feel like it's going to hit everybody that, there's been this massive shakeup, and what does this really mean for the teams moving forward? So I'm going to just kind of break down how we got here a little bit, right? So first and foremost, remember, people, I haven't mentioned this since I come on. I say about 30 out of you in the building. As that number starts to continue growing, as people see that I'm live, remember, please do like the video. I must say massive respect for all the likes on the video yesterday. We almost hit the 200 mark on yesterday's video, which is great. So I really do appreciate you guys doing that. Of course, you can share the content as well. I might not be in all the networks and circles that you all are. So please, by all means, the more the merrier, the more people hear this content and are involved. I think it makes for better programming, better playback ability as well. I do always turn on the live chat replay. So if you're watching this on the replay, people, you can keep up with what was going on in the comment section, track what people were thinking and saying. And I try my best to highlight the comments as well as we go through. Of course, there's other ways you can support the channel besides subscribing, turning on the notification bell, hitting all on that bell as well, so that anytime we are live, we have dropped content, you will get notified on your devices and you can turn it on, give it a view, like the video, drop your comments in the comment section as well. Now, of course, you can always comment in the form of a super chat. That's another way to support the channel, and also consider becoming a member of the channel by hitting the join button. Anywhere on whatever device you're looking at, there will be a button somewhere that says join. You click that, you follow the instructions, you can become a member of Jason Gooner TV's family. All right, so that's all the housekeeping that we have to do for the video. So now we're going to get right into the content and the discussion. Excuse me. All right, Corey said, up. Yo, you don't know Sylvester. That's what we say when we turn on the camera. Bless up float management. Big up yourself, brother. Yo, big up BM. Blessings, Eddie Gooner, Wagwan. Boy, the Gooner's not going with nothing. Not going with nothing in the window. Like the window just locked for we and open for everybody else. Most of all, I like the transparency. Yes, it did get a lot more transparent under the GenSec. I agree. Up, Gooner, blessed morning. Bless up Swamptivity, carefully nice swamp. I think they should have put a younger person that's business-minded, fresh mind to push the JFF forward. Okay, so Swamptivity does not think that it was the best option. Fair enough, Swamptivity, a younger business-minded person. That could have been an interesting thing. I think the JFF have tried to add a bit of youth to their setup. You know, Avery Campbell, Simon Preston. You know, there are some younger, I guess you could say, signings of late that we have seen us move into the 21st century a bit. Even though some things still need a bit of work. I think they need a bit more audio visual equipment. But that's another story for another day. Our up top, BM, you can't be soft when managing Jamaicans. The iron approach is often required. I have no issue with that style of leadership if it gets positive results. Absolutely. At the end of the day, you know, management is a results business. So I don't think most people, like most boards and owners of companies that put managers in place, you know, yes, they're going to hear grievances from lower ranking members of the staff. But at the end of the day, if they're getting positive results on the balance sheet, then they're not really they're going to turn a blind eye to things, I think, you know. So really, it's a results-based business, to be honest. Chung is the corporate MacGyver. Wish him all the best. Yeah, so there is Eddie Gooner giving Chung well wishes on his future endeavors. Could do a whole show about his future endeavors, but I don't really delve into that side of things. More the corporate Sam Allardyce. Someone said he's a safe from relegation man. All right, need the night talk. No. Blessings, Jason Gooner. Big up yourself. Triple E, was the vacancy published, or is it the same old boys club? Well, that's one of the first things I was going to discuss in this whole appointment, because you know there were two appointments based on, and that's the domino effect, right? So we have the vacuum. Chung leaves the GenSec post, that's empty. The team general manager, or the general manager of teams, I think is the correct title. He assumes that GenSec role, which leaves the GM open. Now, you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Roy Simpson was the team manager of the Reggae Boys at one point, and then when that GM role was created for Roy Simpson, or there was someone there before that he replaced. I need to get clarification on that. But now there's a GM that is kind of over all the national teams, and then each respective team has their respective manager. So I was thinking when I heard that Royce, because I've heard this about, I'd say about a month ago, I started to hear rumblings that if Chung does indeed leave, who the JFF have in mind for the role is Roy Simpson. So I've kind of known this and not brought it publicly, because, you know, you don't want to really rush things before time. So now that it has happened, as I say, thank you so much to my sources out there that were telling me this, because you were spot on. And also I was hearing rumblings that Omar McFarland would be thought of as the acting GM, or not even the acting GM, but as the GM if Roy Simpson did indeed take the GenSec role. And that was one that one was more of an eye-opener to me, because again, Roy Simpson has kind of been in the machine that is the JFF for a very long time, seen a lot of things, made a lot of trips as manager, as GM. So again, I don't really worry about him on the footballing side of things in terms of how to get a team from point A to point B. I think he's been doing it long enough. He's been a part of a lot of hiccups as well. So I think he would have learned a lot through mistakes over the years. And one thing that I will say is, you know, either they're doing an excellent job of just shielding the public from mishaps, but it must be said that, you know, you're hearing a lot less foolishness occur as far as flights and movement of players and things of that nature. So, again, I have no issues on the footballing side. I think he does possess the knowledge required, right? I may not always agree with how I hear him come across in the public, but that's for another story for another day. I'm just basing it on what I've seen in terms of on the footballing side, moving the teams around from point A to point B, that there seems to have been a lot of improvement. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I have seen that. And again, it could be that they have gotten better in terms of, because a lot of times stories that you get would come directly out of inside the JFF. And maybe they have just weeded out the folks that were in there that were spreading everything when things would go wrong. I don't know. But it must be said that you're hearing less about things going wrong in terms of movement of teams and players. And that was something that you would hear every single time. So that is something that has improved, right? And I must say, with him being a GM, it has been a little bit like that for sure. Now, one thing that I think in his role as GM that I haven't agreed with, I get the sense that, over the years, we have only really heard him talk about one specific player when it comes on to recruitment, because the GM has a big role to play in that as well, because a lot of the paperwork that would need to be submitted, like in terms of not PICA related, but just dealing with FIFA, that arm of the JFF would kind of be the ones that get those things over the line, right? So I just get the sense that at times it's more about like how, like the quality of the player, instead of just letting the player, to me, it shouldn't matter if I'm the JFF and a player wants to gain citizenship. I am not going to care if the coach likes him, if I think he's good, any of that. If the man wants to get his Jamaican passport and he wants to do it, he wants to get his international clearance or whatever it is, just supply the documents or facilitate that happening. It shouldn't matter that the player, you don't deem the player to be good. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the one thing. I don't know if he is necessarily the perfect conduit for international players to try to get through the line with JFF. I don't see where he's so enthusiastic about these things. He's only mentioned one player ever that I can remember, and it was Mason Greenwood on TV. And even that, many people had issues with how he, spoke on the matter in public, right? And I was one of those people. So, look, with that being said, the GenSec role might not have so much to do with getting heritage players over the line as the GM would. You know what I'm saying? So removing him out of that, I have no issue. But again, my thing is, how competent are you in what you're going to be doing? And while I think there's aspects of the GenSec role that he's fully competent in, I believe there's others where it's going to be a trial and error period. And I just don't know at this critical juncture if we can afford to be having trial and error periods with a position as important as the General Secretary. Now, I would want nothing more than the future to prove that Jason Gooner is being is worrying too much about everything, right? I would love for that to happen. So, but I'm just saying, from what I can see, let's just hope that he's been paying good attention over the years, because I'm sure he would have been in close contact with all the GenSecs since he's been the team manager, right? And hopefully he takes more from Dennis Chung than he does the man before Dennis Chung, because even the president himself, when Dalton Wint was, let go, said he admitted that when he got the role, he knew that he wasn't quite qualified for the role. So we have a precedent set in the JFF where they do tend to do these things. They reward loyalty, right? And they want upward mobility for their most loyal people. But that can't be at the detriment of the whole thing running properly. So that's my only hope and concern, that this is not a nepotism choice, and hopefully, Dennis Chung would have been forthright with them about his thoughts, and he has really been a sponge, working closer with Dennis Chung in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Now if it comes out that that's been the case, then excellent. But that's what I think would help Roy Simpson in his move forward. How closely has he been working with Dennis Chung in these last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? How many of these deals that we have struck up lately has Roy Simpson been a part of to kind of see how we got from point A to point B in these negotiations? That's what would be interesting for me to find out. And that's a part of the reason why I would love for him to come on one of these platforms, because those are the types of questions I would be asking me personally, right? Let me go to the comment section, see if anybody have any thoughts. What about that movie, You're a Young Bird? What? Oh, what you know about that movie? Yeah, man, MacGyver. Them thing they replay, man. Yeah, man, make them know, Drew Ross. Like up the live. Big up yourself as well, Drew, in the building. Bless up Nitro Wagwan. I'm willing to see what Mr. Simpson has to offer, given that he's already in the federation and less on-the-job training for him. All right, so Triple E, tell me how he answered the poll right there. And I'm going to check the poll in a minute and see what people are saying. People, there's 45 of you now in the building. We need to be at least on 45 likes. That would be really nice. All right, we're 12 short of the 45. 12 short of the 45. We have 20 votes so far. It's pretty even. 40% worried, 40% willing to see how he does, and 20% not worried at all. So yeah, it's a decent vote so far. We will watch Roy for now still, but it's a clear downgrade. No disrespect. Yeah, I think Roy himself will probably tell you in terms of what they've done in their careers in the type of role that the GenSec is. Clearly Chung is a better candidate. Yes, Sam Allardyce will get you promoted to the EPL and save the team from relegation. In other wise words, he brings stability. Yes, Omar is the husband. He's been in football, U17, etc. Yeah, well, I don't know what the etc. is, Eddie Gooner. As far as the JFF is concerned, he's only been in the U17. So what etc. you're referring to, I don't know. Bless up Nigel Garden, big up yourself. Owen Hill would be my choice based on a macro management point of view. Okay, interesting. So RR want to take away the PFJL man, put him in the JFF. Okay, fair enough. Big up Real Baller. Hope you're good, my bro. So the JFF has say who switches allegiance. No, not that they have say, but they do. They do provide like a lot of the information as far as how the players would do it, right? Because they have to get a form saying that they want to switch. The JFF acknowledges that. So I believe that in that particular part of the process, the JFF is involved. Yes, I do believe that. If his staff is still in office, we should be able to get a smooth operation, even though some supervisors keep workers on their toes. Bless up Texicon, Wagwan. Big up yourself, bro. Hope you're good. I hope the road I treat you well. I'm sure you're depend some farm of the road right now. All right, people. Remember, smash up the like button. Don't make a mistake there and don't smash it. So let me first show you guys, before I show you any articles in print from traditional media, I want to show you guys first and foremost the press release. Actually, let me not show the press release. Let me just show JFF Instagram posts. So let me show JFF Instagram posts. And I think the press release was, I think there was a mistake on there, at least the one I got. So I'm not going to pull that up and show that. Let me just show the post on JFF Instagram. So this was the post that they put up. This was a day ago. So this was the 4th of June. They put this on the Instagram. And basically, they provide update and staff adjustments, acting GenSec and general manager. So if you read right here, it says acting general secretary and general manager. The JFF is pleased to announce the appointment of Mr. Roy Simpson as acting general secretary effective immediately. As part of the organizational restructuring or the domino effect, Mr. Omar McFarland, who currently serves as team ambassador for the U17 Reggae Boys, will now assume the role of acting general manager. So the first thing I want to note, people, the JFF has come out and stated that these guys will be in these roles, but you have to note that both of them say acting. So I'm assuming, don't want to call it probationary period, but there will be a period where I guess they will either make or break whether they keep acting on if they keep those titles or they are relieved of those duties based on what they do. That's what I would think, right? So just to highlight a few comments, there's Eddie also in the comment section said, need that interview Mr. New acting Gensec. Yes, I didn't say Eddie's name as an interviewer, but that's definitely something he does as well. So that could be an option for him. Boys Club says Mr. Tricky Crowd. Yeah, it gives off that, right? It gives off that. Bear friend thing go on at JFF. Roy Simpson. Is Roy Simpson competent to perform that duty like you guys want? The JFF go back to where it was. Wow. Pure friendship for these two appointments. So a lot of people, saying it's a backward step, a friendship, a nepotism hire, whatever you want to call it. This was the actual press release as well, people. I think this was cleaned up. Okay, this was cleaned up. So I got the first one that was a little bit, I don't think it was worded properly because it said acting general manager again. But anyway, this says, the JFF is pleased to announce the appointment of Mr. Roy Simpson as acting Gensec effective immediately. Simpson, who has served the Federation with distinction since 2008, has played a pivotal role in numerous national team milestones in his capacity as team's general manager, including qualification of the Reggae Boys to the FIFA U17 World Cup in 2011, runner-up finishes in the CONCACAF Gold Cup in 2015 and 17, Caribbean Cup titles in 2010 and 2014. As part of the organizational restructuring, Mr. Omar McFarland, who currently serves as team ambassador for the U17 Reggae Boys, will now assume the role of acting GM. President of the JFF, Mr. Michael Ricketts, commented on the appointments. Mr. Simpson is an integral part of the Federation, and I am confident that he will bring stability and leadership during what promises to be a demanding summer and the remainder of 2025. Likewise, Omar is a dependable professional whose commitment will serve us well in this new role. The JFF looks forward to continued growth and success under this strengthened leadership team. Now, people, again, I can't really go against much of what was said re Mr. Simpson, but this last sentence by the president, I intend to challenge quite a bit today. Omar is a dependable professional whose commitment will serve us well in this new role. So, it says here he currently serves as team ambassador for the U17 Reggae Boys. Now, I didn't make an expose about the U17 Reggae Boys for two reasons. The first reason being, here on this show, for the most part, we like to focus on the football itself. So my expose about that team was mainly about what I saw on the pitch and what I heard wasn't happening off the pitch. But in my research to make content about that team, I was hearing a lot about shortcomings in the organization of the team itself. And, that would fall squarely at the feet of the ambassador for the team, Mr. Omar McFarland. So just for a second, before I open up the phone line, I wanted to, all right, before I do that, let me just show you guys what traditional media had to say about the hiring. So I have an article pulled up from the Observer. So I'm going to put that on screen and read it for you guys real quick. All right. So here it is. The JFF has announced the appointment of General Manager Roy Simpson as acting General Secretary effective immediately. Simpson's appointment follows the recent resignation of Dennis Chung. Chung stepped down to take up a job with the Financial Investigative Division of the Ministry of Finance. According to the JFF, Simpson has served the Federation with distinction since 2008, playing a pivotal role in numerous national team milestones. So basically, they just regurgitate what they told us just now. He said he's an integral part of the Federation, confident that he will bring. Okay, so this is basically just word for word taking what was said in the press release. So yeah, not much done there by the Observer in terms of investigative journalism, which is fine. They just want to give you the news. And then let me just double check this, because if Sportsmax just write the same damn thing, it don't make sense. Read it. Yeah. So basically, all the articles just basically pulling from the press release. So not much different going on there. Yeah. Now there's a connection and a link that I think must be spoken about when we talk about Omar McFarland. So first things first, he was the team ambassador for the under 17. Now, as far as I know, how he came to get that role, he basically came with a plan. He said that he would be able to raise funding, which would aid in players getting to and from camps. We had a big push this last under 17 to implement more camps, and also in those camps include players overseas mixed with those playing locally to try to find the best crop of players to put on a U17 team. Now, of course, with the frequency of those camps, it became pretty costly for the JFF, and it pretty much would take them over their budget, which we know Dennis Chung was not really allowing under his tenure. So they had to get creative and figure out other ways. So basically, to my knowledge, Omar McFarland sold it to the JFF that he would be able to raise funds privately, and basically be able to bankroll the U17, everything. That's how it was sold to the JFF. So they liked what they heard. They said, listen, if you can indeed pull this off, please do it. We will take all the help we can get. Now, I think something that gets lost in this whole thing is the fact that one of the players on the team for the U17 was actually the son of Omar McFarland, Aiden McFarland. Now, I don't want to cry foul and foul play, but based on a lot of reports of those who would have had information about the team, whether it was throughout the process of having camps or scouting and finding talent, they found it a bit hard to believe that out of 21 players that were selected, Aiden would have been selected. So again, I'm not saying it's foul play involved there, but that's just something that I want the public to know, right? That his son was a part of that U17 team. Now, since the camp has ended and the tournament has ended and we fell just short to qualify for the World Cup, I happen to know that there have been a lot of financial situations that have arisen throughout the competition, throughout the camps. The first thing that basically would have been a red flag for me is, I believe it was like the second camp that they would have had, right? Where they would have had to travel to Jamaica, that, the parents began to have to foot the bill for the trips. So whatever fundraising that was promised, for whatever reason, he was having some trouble finding the funds. So what was sold to them as a situation where, don't worry, just make your players available, make your kids available. We will take care of all the travel and everything. That then turned into, okay, you'll have to kind of get them here if you want them to come to this camp. And, luckily, these parents had the means and found a way to get this stuff done, which I'm sure was a massive financial undertaking for them. I have children myself. They're in Jamaica now. I know exactly what it costs to send your kids to Jamaica on the plane, right? So it's not a thing that is cheap. And based on how frequently they had these camps, I think it was a massive undertaking for some of these parents. Some of them may have even stretched themselves beyond what they really should have, in the name of, getting the boys the best prepared. So to me, that's a massive red flag. You come into the situation, you say you're going to do something, and not even half the way through the whole thing, you have already not been able to fulfill what you said you were going to fulfill, right? So that to me was a red flag. Then there's the issue of players not getting per diems, right? So players are indeed, even though they're youth, they are entitled to per diems whenever they're on international duty. And apparently, it's been almost 4 months since they've played a game, and there are still people who haven't received anything. So the thing about, in the press release, right, it's worded in a way that, based on his time served as the team ambassador for the U17 Reggae Boys, which I would think if you're highlighting something that this person has done, when I do my checks on what they did with that team, it should be a clean bill of health, and I shouldn't see any red flags. Now, I've already pointed out 2 already, and I could keep going, right? Because I believe that Mr. McFarlane, while I have no doubt, because I actually happen to know people that know him, right? And when I was planning on doing this show, I wouldn't say I was met with backlash, but they were just saying, you don't even know the man, star. Or if you talk about the man like this and da da da. And I'm saying to them, I don't have to know him. And I'm not saying that he's a bad person. I'm just saying that the position and what he's going to be doing is going to be so results based that if he's a nice person or not is irrelevant to me. I just want him to be able to do the job, right? And based on what I've seen and what I've heard, I don't think that he's equipped to do the job. I don't think he knows the first thing about what's required of a team manager of a team, right? I had similar sentiments about Manningsman when he was getting the job, and people were telling me that I'm unfair, this and that. But the difference is, Roy Simpson, it seems, was literally hand in hand with Manningsman in the beginning. So my question is, if Roy Simpson is going to indeed move on to be the GenSec, which I think will take him in a direction that forces him not to be so involved with the Reggae Boys only and have to open his scope to everything and every aspect, who is going to be what Roy Simpson was to Manningsman with Omar McFarland with the national team? That's what I would like to know. How is he going to, are we planning on making him learn on the job like what we heard Danton Wint was doing? Because I don't think that's going to cut it. And I think there's too much going on right now. It's too important right now. We have a lot of new faces joining the team. Integration is important. So the last thing we need is for hiccups with the team itself. And I think it's something that we have under control. Now, from what I know, there hasn't been any other domino effect in the team. So I think Manningsman will still be involved, right? But again, how does that work? Because Manningsman has been getting instruction and his tutelage from the man who would have known the most within the JFF circles about team management, right? So, now he has to take a second role to a person that, in my estimation, doesn't know the first thing about what he has to do. So how is that going to work? You know what I'm saying? So I was actually surprised that Manningsman wasn't considered as the one, because it seemed like they just moved everybody else up. But then Omar comes in out of relatively nowhere, because, he says, etc. here, Eddie Gooner. Tell me the etc. I don't know the etc. Tell me. Educate me so I can know. Bless up AM Henry. Thanks for tuning in. Said the press release said acting GenSec, just a placeholder until they find a permanent. Let's see, because acting to me doesn't necessarily mean I'm like, do you think acting means anything different from interim? Let me know. Your Oral Tracy across the coach about fit chop and change players not performing and the team need new players where the coach must do. Oral Tracy just love chat foolishness. Yeah, we won't talk about Oral today. I know he's been getting a lot of heat from a lot of places, but I haven't really listened to Oral show in about a couple months, so I can't really speak on it so much. But I mean, I don't really have to listen to it. I know what kind of stuff he's done. I don't think he would change in 2 months. We will. When I rate Roy Simpson, no time. I heard from sources that Omar is a big problem. Yeah, my sources have said the same. And as I said, I know people that know him, and they're like, give him a chance, and I will, because I mean, what else am I gonna do? But I don't like what I've seen so far. So let's hope that he's been a sponge as well. I saw him, in the shadows at the Unity Cup. So maybe he was getting some knowledge of everything there as well. And he would have been at the U17 tournament in his capacity, so he would have seen some things there as well. But based on what I have heard, I don't think he quite gets it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he quite gets it. But we shall see. Bless up, Cranky Wagwan, bro. It's a show right up your alley, kind of putting a mirror up to some of the things JFF doing right now today. And I hope you do get the chance to interview the acting Gensec sometime soon. Stop put Oral Tracy on head, bro. The man is a radio host. How did Omar mess up the U17 program? All right. Owen Hill and Chris Williams committed to JPL, not the JFF. Both gentlemen not interested in JFF. All right. Go do your own research, find out for yourself. Yeah. I said a few of the things that I think he messed up just now. So maybe BM was listening. They can't wait for Dennis to go. I bet they keep party for him after he left. They say money can flow again. Right after them off restriction too. But I hope that's not the thinking. I really do. Does Omar McFarland have the time to manage the team? I don't think time is going to be his issue. I just feel like, what he knows about what he needs to do is going to be his major issue. I don't think it's going to be a time thing, to be honest. I mean, because he seems to be able to be, around places and stuff. So I don't think it's a time issue. I don't think. Yeah, nepotism. A little bit of it. Portland FA president was the Gensec after Harris Reed. He did well in his time. Okay. So that would have been in between Reed and Wint. Yeah, what is that guy's name again? Hold on, people. Just go into my cheat sheet. Go into my cheat sheet, JFF website to look at the board again. Where is it? Board of directors. I thought Omar lived here in South Florida. Or is he eligible to be general manager without living on the island for a minimum 10 consecutive years? Well, Float, I don't think that the general manager needs to be on the board. But that is a good question. To have that role, would you have to have lived in Jamaica? I need to ask. I'll ask someone in the JFF that question. That's a damn good question. I don't think so, but I will find out. It's a young man from Campion who wasn't a part of the squad, and that's a joke to me. Yeah. Look, I don't know how Kai Myers didn't make the team either. They talked a lot about the U17 having a good chance to get there to the World Cup because of the exploits of the U15s a couple of years before. And Kai was the captain of that team. So for him to fall from the captain to out of the squad in 2 years was a bit of a head scratcher for me, for sure. Cha-cha. I think the rule is only for persons not born on the island. That rule is only for persons not born on the island. Okay. So I would have to live there 10 years. All right. Cool. Well, I've lived 10 years in Jamaica in my lifetime, just not the last 10. Does that count? Man I got train him. Yeah, I guess so. What is Roy Simpson qualification that enabled him to assume this so-called interim role? Well, the only qualifications that the JFF have given to the public is that he's been a loyal servant to them since 2008. So I haven't seen any other qualification. Why was Mannings not given the job? Not sure. That was vague, I agree. Loyal soldier will get promoted. Yeah. Float management. Reggae girls coach missing. Reggae boys coach live in UK. Reggae boys manager live in US. It's an overseas federation we are run. Your worst nightmare, CC. Take back your things, CC. A person can hold an acting title indefinitely. Okay. So interim would mean you're going to change it soon. Acting can just be the acting favor. Okay, thank you for that. I figured that word was used on that interim on purpose, but I wasn't really sure like why. I have a show this evening on JFF Media and Diaspora Bias. All right, that should be a nice show. I'm actually doing a show tonight with a fellow YouTuber, BBK Sports. I think he resides out west in the US and he's an Arsenal fan as well. And he wants to have me on to discuss Arsenal. So I'm going to have a headache later probably. But If I'm not there live, I will definitely watch that show, Cranky, if I have the time. Well, when I have the time, because I might be live on another person program, but I like the topic, so I will definitely watch it when I can and leave a comment. Cranky Live, where you say them bias to the diaspora having a coach and team manager living outside the island working from home? CC, what are you talking about? My question is in relation to the JFF lead team. How coach come into this? JFF taking them talents to South Beach. Who you define as diaspora? OCC, that hurts you. The truth they say will set you free. You try to prove them wrong. Why are you talking nonsense? Nobody outside Jamaica has any influence on what JFF does. CC, I totally endorse using folks in diaspora to be on a JFF lead team. Of course, qualified candidates here in South Beach. Yeah, look, the rule of the board members having to live in Jamaica for 10 years, while I think it is not beneficial, it is what it is. But I don't think that, I would hope that, if there's a candidate for the GenSec position, or, general manager, or even team manager, media, whatever it is, it should not be a matter of only people that live in Jamaica, It shouldn't even be only Jamaicans. It should be anybody that's qualified, to be honest. Yeah, so look, for me, while I am a bit concerned with the level of expertise that Roy Simpson would have, I think that the more glaring one for me of the two is Omar McFarland. And I think the JFF kind of knows this as well, because if you even go to the JFF football Instagram right now, you would think that a role as important, because I think the general manager is a very important role, would get its own like post with a picture of the person. And I think a part of the reason why they're kind of holding off on that, they probably want to see how he actually does, But my thing is, like, this is such a crucial juncture. Like, can we even afford to be taking chances with a role like this, And, God forbid, it doesn't work out with the ambassador or the new acting general manager and his subordinates, like, namely like Manningsman as the team manager. No, because to me, if the GenSec is busy, which if he's doing the role of the GenSec, he won't be able to just travel with the men's team. He'll have to be doing other things. So he might not be around. What's left if it's just Omar with his charges? If for whatever reason Manningsman say, yo, this is not working for me, this situation anymore, and he decides to leave. Because that's a possibility. You're not necessarily going to be able to work with somebody if it just doesn't work, right? And to me, it was very haphazard. A lot of the things with the U17, especially towards the end when we're going to the competition, there's so many things that happen that literally only happen because the head, or who was supposed to be, because remember, the U17 had a team manager as well, and he was the ambassador. But apparently, he was functioning as if he was the manager, the ambassador, he wanted to do everything, and ended up not doing much of anything because he didn't know how to do the things. He didn't know what needed to be done. He didn't know everything about everything. And I don't know, from what I've heard, he just strikes me as someone that talks a good talk. But the thing with team management is the good talk ain't really going to give you any results. Because literally, if you don't have something done, you see how I have this video titled Domino Effect? It's the same way with football management. You see, once this little thing don't get done, that domino affect everything that's left to do and whatever you have to do in your timeline. So imagine 2, 3, 4 things in your timeline not getting done, everything pushed back. Those little things start to get noticed, players start to grumble. Hey, how are we still here? We're supposed to be at the field 30 minutes ago. These little things start to add up. And these are the things that I haven't been hearing of late. So my hope is there's enough people still in the machine that even the appointment of this new boss for a lot of them will not affect how they do their day-to-day. That's my hope and pray. because clearly something has changed with the logistics of the team. They have been moving a lot smoother, right? You know, how many times would you hear airport issue, bag issue, even bus issues? You know, we haven't really heard that as much. And again, it could be that they are much tighter seal on the information. That could be a possibility. I'm not gonna say that's impossible, but I'm going to give them the benefit and say no, it's not that. It's that they have gotten a handle on logistics a lot better now than 2 years ago, even a year and a half ago, right? So I'm going to give them that credit. But people, I would love to hear from some of you esteemed people in the comment section about the topic. How are you feeling? Are you worried about this? Does this reek of nepotism? Are you okay with them trying to give people that have been loyal to them upward mobility if they think that they can do the job? What side do you reside on? I'm going to put this on the screen so you guys can see it. That is the WhatsApp calling number. Let me actually hold on. Let me do this instead. Let me just have it scrolling. So this is the WhatsApp calling number, people. You can reach out to me on WhatsApp if you like, and I will definitely have you on the show to hear your thoughts. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. So yeah, very interested to hear what you guys think about all this. So that's the WhatsApp calling number. People, feel free to call in. Yeah, so again, I would say if I was answering my own poll question, I would say I'm on a wait and see with Roy Simpson, only because I think if he always had aspirations to get to this level of the JFF, I would hope after all this time he would have consulted with all the various gensecs that he has worked under, and more specifically, very closely with Dennis Chung, because you know, Dennis Chung being the type of person he is, I would like to think he would have told, you know, the higher ups at the JFF about his intentions long before we, the public, would have heard about it, right? And I did hear rumblings about him leaving his post from months ago, you know, from a lot of different places actually. So I would like to think that in turn the JFF would have told them, hey, we're thinking about putting you in this role, Roy. So, you know, we'd like you to work more closely with Dennis as he closes out his time. You know, I hope that has happened. You know what I'm saying? I hope. Don't know that to be fact, but I would think that would be prudent on the part of the JFF if that was their plan all along. If he's qualified, I don't see any reason why not. And he's also in an acting position, which doesn't mean that he is a permanent GenSec. Yes, that is true. I'm getting a call on the line. Let me answer it. How come it's not ringing on here? I don't know. I'm gonna call you back, Cranky, because I don't know what's going on. Oh, he's calling me straight. All right, let me I don't have the straight hooked up to the system, so let me call you back. All right, let me call you back, Cranky. Hold on. I'm gonna call you back on WhatsApp. Hopefully you can take the call on WhatsApp. Welcome to Jason Gooner TV. Who am I talking to?
Am I your first caller?
You're the first caller on this program today, not the first ever.
Then you killed the joy. I thought I was the first caller ever.
Well, you're the first to call in on this specific topic. I'm venturing into more like your territory today, doing a little.
Yeah, try to get beaten.
Yeah, it's okay, you know. I'm not the biggest person in the world. I'm a decent size, but my back is broad, and I don't really speak unless I've done a little research. I hope people will realize that by now. But yeah, man, what do you have to say on the topics at hand?
Well, the two topics you're talking about is, the way I summarize is people's qualification for the role that they either are going to play or currently playing, right? So if you think about Roy Simpson, Gensec, I don't know what his resume entails, but to me, he's old school. He's part of the establishment. And what Chung brought in was someone who was different, who's part of Jamaican elite, and therefore had integrity, had elements to him and qualities to him, which would put him in a position where he could function in his capacity without being influenced, right? Because he didn't need a job. There's another thing about you need a job, you want the job, or you know what? It's not an imperative to you, and therefore you can act and operate based on what the role entails versus being influenced. And it was obvious Dennis couldn't be influenced. I actually communicate with Dennis quite a bit in his role behind the scenes, frankly, and know what some of the things he was trying to achieve, the things that he encountered, and how he operated. That's why you hear me sometimes talk about him in the public domain. I understand the challenges of the role and what was there before and what he accomplished, and people don't seem to give him credit that he deserves. And now with the FID, he has some challenges, some credit by himself, by the public statements he made. But I would just digress by saying he doesn't have to be a lawyer or a forensic accountant to do his role. But I won't digress into that. I don't know Omar McFarland that well, but this is going to sound really bad. Anybody who was part of the under-17 team, I don't have the most favorable perspective on them.
Yeah, that to me is the bigger story in all of this. First and foremost, the kind of obscurity with which Omar McFarland has operated. Like, it's like he's a name that you see, and you might see the face, but you didn't even know it was him, because what has he really done to get where he has gotten with all of this? I don't understand. The way it was explained to me, he's a businessman that lives in Florida. I do know that he's married to Yendi Phillips. Big up Yendi, my schoolmate from Jamaica. And I don't doubt that he's a nice guy and a good, and whatever. I don't doubt any of that, because that's basically what people have said to me. He's a nice guy. And I'm saying, well, what has he done in football to first and foremost get the ambassador role for the U17? That to me was the weirdest thing that has happened in the JFF in the last couple of years. Just a man. So Cranky, if you and I went to the JFF and say, yo, for the U20 next time, we're just going to bankroll it, they would just make us ambassadors just so?
Well, money talks, I guess.
Yeah, but wouldn't we have to produce the money?
Well, there are combination of things. First of all, you got to produce your resume, and you got to produce the evidence to substantiate the resources you have or your ability to generate those resources. Look, it's a little bit concerning that we think we're making progress, so we take 2 steps forward and take another step backwards, right? Or maybe take 3 steps backwards, frankly. But you're right. I mean, the question is, what's the protocol and the process about how people are pursued and assume roles as part of the organization? Do they have the qualification to do the job? Who's ensuring that qualification is in place? All those questions are sort of simplistic and frankly in any organization, and should be something that someone is there or someone qualified enough to do that assessment. But it doesn't seem like they have those standard structures in place to do what is required for them to bring people in place who are going to be effective in their role. And as I've said before, and I keep beating the drum, I don't know if any organization where the department that's failing maintain their role or get enhanced roles, and the ones who are doing well are the ones who are making changes. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, look, a part of me thinks that some of this debacle that would have been the U17 would have drastically affected Chung wanting to stay. And this is just me speculating totally. But you can't tell me that he would have seen what played out with that whole situation and would have been pleased with that.
No, I don't think it's the U17. Look, the problem you have in the JFF, and we've seen it before, you have a board that doesn't really change. You have people in major roles that don't change. There's no rotation. It's almost as if it's an old boys club and everybody's in their role. It's about the president. So it's a catch-22. If you want to be president, you got to get his support. If you can't get his support, you can't change them out. That's what we have.
Yeah.
And he won't. And by the way, as Rudolph Speed always says, the JFF is not a public organization. It's a quasi-private organization. They don't need the public support. They don't need the public. No, they have their stakeholders. They have 50-something stakeholders, or the voting people, or 20-something, whatever's voting, 50-something total votes. That's all they cater to.
Yeah.
They don't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
They want our money, by the way, which I'll talk about this evening. They want the money. They'll use us, but they don't care about us.
Well, this just goes to show Omar McFarland to me is a diaspora fan or person, lives outside Jamaica, and without him coming with a fundraising plan, I don't think the JFF give him the time of day. So that what you just said is proved by Omar McFarland being in the JFF. It's like, I could go to the JFF and say, listen, I think I'm a good analyst or whatever. And, I make enough money doing what I do in my life. I don't want to charge you guys. I just want to offer my analyst work to you guys for nothing, right? They would quicker say, get out of here to me. But if I came to them and said, listen, I want to be the ambassador for the you whatever, and this is my business plan, this is how I plan to raise the funds, even if I pull that business plan out of what, they would more give me the time of day for something like that than me actually wanting to give help in a non-monetary way, or not wanting any money in any way, which to me, it would only matter how versed I am in whatever I want to do. So if a man tells me he's going to fundraise, I would want to see proof of him raising funds in the past, for one, right? So they didn't have any proof of that, and they just took it off of like, we just like your proposal enough to let you try. That to me is not good enough. Not in 2025.
But I don't want to ask as person anyone, which I probably be doing. There's more than VCI.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, because there's another link that I don't think anybody is fully aware of, or maybe some are. I think Manningsman might have mentioned it. That he also has a position in the hierarchy of Cavalier. So there's that speed link there as well, right? So
what you do, Jason, as you may know, in organizations, as Trump does, you support yourself with loyalists. Right? You support yourself and surround yourself with loyalists. People are going to support you. You make sure the ones that are contrary to what you're trying to achieve, you get rid of them. And you bring as many people as possible to be a voice for you. And when you influence them, then, one hand washes the other. So that's it.
Yeah, so it's going back and venturing back into the territory of, it could lead to secrecy. It could lead to controlling of the narrative a bit better, things of that nature. Because if you have minnows in every position that, really and truly are just there because you put them there in a sense, who are they going to be loyal to? The fan base and the people they're working for, or to you yourself? That's the question.
Yeah, I think for the under 17 team or under 20 team, I think someone in the JFF told me this, that they had about 5 people who were currently affiliated with that. Right? Whether it was a team manager, whether it's a masseuse, whoever it was, they're a Cavaliers affiliated. And when people bring these things out, you're told how toxic you are and how controversial you are, and you're beaten because you're talking truth to power, things which the traditional media does not do. Right? We're calling out things which we see, which we're not comfortable with, because we believe that undue influence then occurs, and you're deemed to be the bad person and not supportive, when all you want is fairness and equality and an egalitarian system, which is something people frown upon because they won't allow them to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah. I mean, accountability is going to be tough to attain when it's your soldiers around, It's just, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible at all.
Also, Jason, what people don't realize, when you have that situation, I've seen it before in the corporate environment, then you have spies and you have sinisterism and you have people who want to bring back information to certain persons because they want to know everything that happens. They want control. And you get control by having soldiers out in every capacity, every area, that then allow you to manage and control and do what the hell you want to do. And that's what we're seeing. And people don't seem to realize that. And the president is not showing the leadership he should be showing. People keep saying I'm biased to the president. I like the president, but he's not showing leadership.
Yeah, so your stance on the president reminds me a lot of a friend of mine. When I talked to him the other day and I said, listen, man, I'm really considering doing a program kind of talking about, Omar will come up in the program. And I know it's your friend and everything and blah, blah, blah. And, all he said was what you say about Ricketts, he's just a nice guy and da, da, da. And I said, listen, I am not making a program to let people know that he's a bad person, right? I am simply going to make a program and just ask the public, how do they feel about his appointment? Because from where I sit and from what I can see, the one thing I saw him have a hand in had a number of issues, and they're still continuing to have those issues. So I just don't see why we are rewarding someone with a job that is as important as the general manager of teams. So it's not just one team. He has to oversee every team. And Jamaica don't have just 3-4 teams. We have like 7 or 8 teams to account for.
What do you mean overseeing every team?
So the general manager of the JFF is actually over every team,
No, I understand, but it's not what Roy Simpson was doing, right?
Roy Simpson would have been responsible over the team managers of the reggae girls and reggae boys, all the team managers of the U20, U17. That's how the hierarchy works. So he's not only responsible for just the reggae boys,
So he's assumed the role for Roy Simpson's role?
Yes, he's the acting general manager. That's what that is.
Based on what?
Based on relationships, I guess. Because it can't be based on what they said about the U17 ambassadorship. Because anybody that was involved in that, you can talk to any parent, any player, anybody involved in that, and they will tell you there were more negatives than positives throughout that whole thing. So if that's what you're basing him getting this role on, that's madness.
So why is Jason Gooner doing this and TVJ and Sportsmax are not doing this?
Well, I think someone that I know has a theory on it, and I think they might be right. I think we'll hear about it now that he's going to be involved in one of the senior teams. Right. I don't think Jamaican traditional media care enough about the youth teams and what they do.
I will talk about Jamaica traditional media a lot this evening. I think Jamaica
and even to be fair to traditional media, I don't think the YouTube media care enough about the youth teams either. Because some of the things that happen,
they care when they play, right?
Yeah, no. When I say that, I mean they're not gonna. Like for example, me today, I'm doing this because, well, no. Let me say this: the ones who do work on YouTube that sometimes would make it seem like they're beating the JFF, right? And I won't call their names, but you know who you are. You could potentially be in that boat as well.
Right.
I don't see as much investigative journalism being done about what the youth girl teams and youth boys teams are doing. It's just kind of an afterthought. Like you said, when they're going to play a game, we'll look at the team and we'll say, oh, they look good, they look bad. But we don't go as deep into the politics of it like we could. So I think that's a part of the reason why he's flown under the radar so much.
No. I canceled my youth team subscription when they fired John Wall.
Okay, because I know you were very upset about how they talk about quotas and all these things. Yes, I remember that. I'm not going to focus on the youth team because, frankly, I am struggling with focusing on the regular boys going forward. I must admit. Yeah, you have said that numerous times. You have said that numerous times. I guess did the subscriber goal get where you wanted it to go? Because I see you making regular boy stuff still.
June 15th is the cutoff.
Okay, you're almost there. All right. Well, people, if you haven't already subscribed to Cranky Live, if you think that he has a voice
don't tell him.
worth hearing in the space, he's using all kind of reverse psychology stuff. He's not gonna give up on this. He's too invested at this point. I know that he doesn't know. He's trying to fool himself, but that's okay. If it make you feel better, Cranky.
We'll see. I was down here the other day. I was down here yesterday. I came back yesterday.
Okay, so your sister lives in Georgia?
My son live in Georgia. My sister live in Georgia. My significant other live in Georgia.
So why are you running back to New York, so? Why you love about New York so much?
No, I fly out tomorrow again.
What? People, the man has start fly out now, you know. Ever since him beard not grey, the man get a new lease on life, people.
Yeah, I watch the TV. But besides, you know what? You can't see me and make feel free right now. I'm gonna do my thing. But no, this is good. You should do more calling. Calling is good.
Yeah, look, I have been struggling with the idea. A lot of people that watch the shows, they'll comment off the air and say, hey, you should do call-ins. But, you know, Cranky, what ends up happening too much, I don't get to finish what I want to talk about. And most of the time, I have so many topics I want to get through. I don't even get through it even without call-ins. But today was a call-in setup show because I'm not going to just hear and talk about people for 2 hours. I want to hear other people's takes too. So let me hang up and see if anyone else would like to call. But I really do appreciate your calling and giving your take. And everybody, if you aren't already subscribed, give Cranky Live a subscription. He also puts in some good work on his platform as well. All right, big up yourself, Cranky. Yeah, man. Well, good. All right, yeah. So that was Cranky people calling in to give his take on the situation. Let me go back to the comment section. I see something showing that he's the general manager at Cavaliers Football Club. I'm not sure how truthful that is. Well, see if I can reach out to Mr. Speed and try to get some clarity on that. Yeah. Travis a cuss. No boy, I can't send threat to me in my hometown. No time. You stick to football. Me at their stadium and see you not even know me. So you are Lawrence, not afraid of stay on football. Stop get personal. Jano, CC, where I get personal, bro? CC, you don't see nothing wrong in that? Oh yeah, you don't. Buy from yard. Most of you guys think that way. Fox says big deal. Then him a dead with laugh. Probably a laugh after the war we're going. Conrad Smith, you dunce, you daft. Brother, me just send something questioning this guy's appointment. Peso want to be noticed again. You the kid at school, try to be seen, right? People. Say hi to Peso. He's a boss to youth guy. Yes, Jason. CONCACAF, JFF conflict. Yeah. It's never ending. A friend you look at JFF, no one there no rate you are the hypocrites and here you fight against the JFF. Well, say CC not a chance for going there. So even if him no want to go, him couldn't go anyway. That's what you say, Travis. Why CC say money too tall for go JFF, them can't afford him, you know. This is Jamaica. This is why Jamaica's football will continue to stagnate. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result is a definition of insanity. That is very true. My belly a boss. BM, thank you. It is facts though. Bless up Tycoon, one of the ones who always burn out the corruption. Big up yourself, bro. Yeah, man, I have to hold them sometime, man. Cause them say me are the me are the what? Me are the football tactics, man. Which I am, but my brain works for things outside football tactics. So we can put some things together and create something, you know, cause I don't really love what I say in the last couple of days. I don't think this is gonna end well. I hope it does. I hope I'm so wrong on this that people just look at it and say, yo, this brother just wasting time making this video. But brother, there's no evidence to suggest that. I don't have sense like you have, so much it make you look stupid if it's channel star. Yo, the people them get so personal, man. Why not always get so upset with no one another, brother? Too much negative energy and corruption around the program. When we keep failing, don't be surprised, says BM. Travis says, stop cast out on JFF. You all have nothing on them. You all are hypocrites, bandwagonists. That's why I will never in no one Jamaica, no time, just go stadium support my country. Well, Travis, I hope you continue to go stadium and support the country. That is excellent. That I want. All right, I won't highlight that comment from CC, but yeah. Him say, nah, look no friend, CC. I throw my call, I call no foul. If you want to go poison, I your business. Yeah, Peso Bill, bro. You know, I forget so upset, man. I deal with guys like you and Peso all my life. It's nothing to me. You love try bully people on social media. Go sit down somewhere. So the people them might go at Travis, brother, and they might go right back. I'm good, bro. As my forward and stream, someone just want to attack me for my view on football. Yeah, people, look, if you're going to attack him views, but the dunce and the name calling and the, you know, that, we don't need to go them place to people. Come on. Where me a bully, you stick to football, you call my name first. Alright, so people them are dead with laugh and have them convo. But yeah, people, the phone line still open. You see it scrolling on the screen. In the meantime, people, I did have something else that I wanted to talk about that's not really related to the main topic of the show. I wanted to look at the FIFA rankings because, as you know, when this window is completed, I think on the 11th of June is the last game. CONCACAF will tabulate the FIFA rankings. It won't be released by FIFA, but they will get the most up-to-date rankings as of June 11th to figure out their pots for the draw for the next round. So what I wanted to do was to I have a site that I found that calculates FIFA points. So I wanted to just show you guys because you know me's a brother always I look on everything. So when I went to the calculation site, I was able to figure out based on the friendlies that we played how many points we would have gained from those matches, right? So it's a friendly outside of FIFA day. So that means it's basically I5, you know. So the basically how it works is there's importance levels, right? So yeah, it starts at 5 and it goes all the way up to I think 40. Yeah, so 40 would be the highest it could be, right? Which is kind of strange because they said the Confed. Let me see, 25 qualification matches. The World Cup itself, 25. Yeah, so I'll show you guys what I'm looking at in just a second. Let's see, what is this now? Yeah, so I just got a photo sent, and basically it's saying, you know, this was a post from Cavalier. This was a post from Cavalier, March the 17th. Omar McFarland, manager of Cavalier FC, George Santos, owner of Inter Miami, and Andrew Thomas, I'm not sure what his title is, in a picture. And that is actually the first time I'd ever seen, you know, during the build up to the Champions Cup matches. It was the first time I'd ever seen Omar in any capacity with Cavalier, ever. So I don't know if he was around and I just had never seen him before or what, but, and you guys can correct me, I'd never seen him with anything with Cavalier until the marketing started and the prep started for this Inter Miami 2-leg game. And also what was hilarious to me was I remember them getting some sponsorship, and in one of the videos, you know, Speed mentioned how his team, you know, has people from various places, and he mentioned he had a player that a player from the US as well. I think, or did he say Spain? I can't remember what he said, but Aiden McFarlane, who I had never seen on a bench for Cavalier ever, was in the press conference as a player of Cavalier. And I'm thinking, so Omar is there as the manager, and CC saying general manager, and Aiden is in the team or on the squad. I'm like, when did this happen? I thought he was playing in Spain this whole time, like, because he does play youth football in Spain. So I'm like, yo, what is going on? So it was just a bit strange. And then I hear that, you know, he's actually the GM at Cavalier, and I'm thinking, when did that happen? So again, I have a way to reach out to Speed, so I will find out if he can, like, you know, fill me in on the timeline of when Omar would have taken up that role. You know, is Aiden a Cavalier player? There are some questions that I have for him, but it just was a bit strange, you know, when the timing of everything, it was just like, okay, we have this big event coming up, so now we can unveil Omar as this part of Cavalier, which I didn't even know he was it before that. So that was a bit strange to me. But people, what I want to do, like I said, I want to just keep you guys aware of how it's going to work, because I hear a lot of people saying, you know, we have to make sure we score more goals than Guatemala in case we draw. And, you know, if we do happen to draw, then basically, you know, Guatemala will have the higher goal difference if we don't bag up BVI by a certain amount of goals. But what I want to tell people is us finishing second, if we happen to finish second, which I don't want to happen, but if it does happen, that doesn't necessarily automatically mean that we fall to pot 2 for the draw. The pots will solely be based on the FIFA rankings of the teams left in the competition, right? So I want to show you guys going into this window where we stand and what pot we would be in if we didn't have any games to play before we did the next draw. And then I'm going to explain based on the points we gained in the Unity Cup where we stand now comparative to the teams close to us. So let me just bring up on the screen the FIFA rankings, the last FIFA rankings which were posted, right? And that would have been April the 3rd. So it was post the March window where you saw we got the draw with St. Vincent and the win over St. Vincent. Now, this should show you how the strength of opponent really matters, people. Even though we didn't lose in this window, we netted minus 0.42 points because this draw would have been a bad result for us based on rankings. And the win against them wasn't enough to get us into the positive. So we did lose points in the last window and dropped down 1 place from 62. Now, this is only CONCACAF teams. So you'll see the top 3 in the rankings automatically in the World Cup. So we can eliminate them. So where we are focused is 4, 5, 6, and onwards. Now, the reason why I'm stopping at 6, where Jamaica is in 63rd, those 3 teams, the 4, 5, and 6 ranked team in CONCACAF, will end up in pot 1 for the draw. The 5th, the 7th, 8th, and 9th teams, which currently are Honduras, El Salvador, and Haiti, will end up in pot 2. And it will go down the line of all the qualified teams. Wherever they end up in the rankings will determine what pot they enter. So they'll fill out pot 3 with the next 3 ranked teams and pot 4 with the next 3 ranked teams, right? So as it stands, the team with the most chance or the likeliest team that could catch us in the FIFA rankings would be Honduras. And they currently, after a positive 7.58, are still, and these are the points right here, 1390.85 for Jamaica and 1325.93. So that's quite a big jump. And just for clarity of, you know, biggest movers and losers typically, right? You see under 20 for Mexico in their wins, right? Beating 2 quality opponents. Canada plus 15 because they beat the USA, right? Even though they lost to Mexico, still got a positive. USA wins over Venezuela and Costa Rica kind of saved them after 2 losses to Panama. And Canada, they still had a positive 3, right? But when you look at the biggest movers of the entire last time they changed the rankings, right? It was a plus 24.16, and the biggest loss points was minus 29. So if you use that as an example or as a precedent of what might happen, I would think a gap of, you know, what, almost 70 odd points. Let's say Jamaica is the biggest loser this month and they get minus 29, which is very unlikely, right? That will put them down to 1360. So that means that this team would have to get a plus 35, 36 to catch Jamaica. So it is very, very, very unlikely, people, unless we were to lose to BVI and Guatemala, that we would fall so far. Now, one thing I want to point out as well, included in this calculation will be those 2 Unity Cup games. And on last check, Honduras did not have any opportunity to get any points other than their 2 World Cup qualifying games they have. And we would have gained a positive from our 2 results in the Unity Cup because they don't count the penalties as the winner or loser. They just count the game as a draw. And we would have played a team better than us in that game. So similar to like when we drew with St. Vincent, we would gain positive points from drawing with, what's their name? Nigeria, right? And of course, beating Trinidad, while it won't be an immense point total because they're not ranked as high as us, we would gain positive from that as well. So let's see. What I wanted to check real quick is to make sure that my research was correct when I say that Honduras didn't have any games. So Honduras' last game was in March. They didn't have any friendlies, and they have their 2 games, one against Cayman, one against Antigua. Now, both of those teams are much worse in world rankings than Honduras. So even 2 wins should not garner nearly enough points to get the 30, 35 points I think they would need, coupled with Jamaica losing a full 25 points, right? So I just don't see a scenario how we get out of pot 1. which would then mean, people, when you look at the rankings, right, because you have Honduras next up, you have El Salvador and Haiti. Now, Curacao, they're pretty close to Haiti, right? They're pretty close to El Salvador. Honduras, I doubt they could catch. So you could see potentially Haiti dropping out of pot 2, going down to pot 3, and Curacao taking their place. I think Trinidad is a bit too far off as well for them to get enough ground in all of this. And Guatemala, I think, are where they are. They won't be able to jump into a new pot either. So I think the pots, based on the points, the one thing I see that could change potentially is pot 2 having one change in it, where Curacao would hop over Haiti. But that would take some things happening. Haiti could move up in pot 2 a little more, but I don't see them dropping. They could drop to pot 3. El Salvador potentially could drop to pot 3. I think Honduras is pretty much where they are in pot 2. I don't see enough points out there for grabs for them to get all the way to pot 1 with Jamaica, Costa Rica, and Panama. So we should, people, based on my calculations, avoid Panama and Costa Rica in the next round. I get it. You don't want to be trying to avoid teams, blah, blah, blah. Listen, people, let's not make it any harder than it needs to be. I want to avoid these 2 damn teams, okay? So if we don't have to play them in that round, that last round where winning the group gets you automatically into the finals of the World Cup, then I would like that to be the case. And I think Jamaica has put themselves in good stead to be in pot 1 as the 3rd team in pot 1 based on the FIFA rankings right now. Honduras, El Salvador, I would like to think they'll probably be in pot 2. So those are potential opponents in the next round as opponents. And Haiti, if they can hold it together in their last 2 qualifiers, they should be in pot 2 as well. But Curacao is there based on what they do in the next couple of games. They could potentially jump over Haiti in points, but they're going to need some help. So as of right now, I think potential opponents in the group, right, when you look at the point standings and everything, I can reasonably predict that pot 2 will have Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti, and pot 3 will have Curacao, Trinidad, and Guatemala. So we will have one of Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti, and one of Curacao, Trinidad, and Guatemala in our zone. Now, people, remember, the last pot will come from the last 3 ranked teams that are still in the competition. So you have the likes of Guyana, St. Kitts, Dam Rep, Suriname, Nicaragua. Now, Dam Rep, they're going to need some results to go their way if they're going to get into the top 2. Of course, they need Jamaica to beat Guatemala, and Guatemala, they do actually face them. So that Dam Rep could get into that qualifying level, but they will be more than likely down in pot 3 or pot 4 based on their FIFA rankings at the moment. Suriname is a team that has been having an upward move. They could potentially get to that pot 3 area, but it's going to be a massive jump. I don't think it's quite possible. So even if they get to that final round, Suriname will have to face one of Jamaica, Costa Rica, Panama, and Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti out of pot 2, because they more than likely will be a pot 4 team when it comes to the draw for the next round. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense of what we have to look forward to in terms of the draw. Let me also show you guys how I, am aware of what's going on with the rankings. So there's a site that I go to, and it's really good in terms of giving you an idea. And I've checked this in the past, how accurate it is, where I have done the calculations before, and then when the FIFA rankings come out, it is definitely spot on. So if you guys are like me and just like to do things yourself for your own checks and balances, I definitely recommend this site to people. Let's see, it's like football-ranking.com, and there's a calculator page. When you click on calculate a scheduled match, it even has the games listed, right? So if you look at, let's see. So if you go to Jamaica and you submit, so it doesn't have the games that have played already, but let's just say BVI. So you calculate the points, and it basically tells you if BVI beats Jamaica, that's what they'll get. And it actually shows you where their points would end up based on what they have now. So I use these scenarios to figure out, how the heck would we let a team like Honduras catch us, right? So when you do that, you can see what's the most likely result. I would say BVI lose to Jamaica. So we get 2.12 points. So nothing really that much to write home about based on where we were before. Now, if you go back to Honduras now, and you look at their games, remember, they haven't played any games as yet. So they play Cayman first. So let's look at what they would get. So if Cayman, no, so we need to look at if Cayman Island loses, Honduras get 3.46. So they get a little more points than us, but not nearly what they would need to catch up to us, right? And then when you look at Antigua and Barbuda, it's going to be something similar. I think they're a better team than who was the other person they were playing? They're a better team than who we just looked at, Cayman. So they get a lot more points. If Honduras wins against Antigua, they get 5.62 this time. So even when you add up the 5.6 and the 3.4, that's only a total of about 9 points. There is no scenario based on the games if we were to even lose both of these games. And remember, I don't believe that right now this calculation is not including the let me see what we're at. 13.8, 86.65. Okay. That's where we are now, 1386.65, and they're at 1333. So yeah, they can only get a total of about 10 points tops, no matter what they do. And we are currently about 53 points ahead of them. So yes, if we have a collapse and we lose both of these games, which I don't think we could if we were even trying, we'd lose 22.88, which would take us down to 13.65, right? And we'd be at 13.65. So if we lose this one, we would go down 16.89. So that would take, so look, there is a scenario, people. Jado, I was thinking it's impossible. But if we were to somehow lose both of the damn games, we would actually lose enough points for them to pass us, people, if they won both of theirs. Because I see, what's that? Let's call it 17 and 22. That's 39. And we said Honduras would gain about 10. Yeah, so based on that, so we go down about 40, so 13.46. So yeah, bro, we could lose both games. We could lose both games, which I don't think is going to happen. And Honduras won both of theirs, and we still would be like about 5 points ahead of them. So they couldn't even catch us regardless. So yeah, people, I want us to beat BVI by the most goals possible. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that if we see us win 3-love, 4-love, and it's not 7, 8, 9, 10, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the world for anything, people. So, you know, again, not saying I don't want us to put them to the sword. That would be great. But, yeah, I feel like you guys need to know that based on the draw itself being based on FIFA points as of the date of the draw, Jamaica will be in pot 1. I can say that definitively, people, because right now FIFA is not showing the points we would have gained from the Unity Cup. So we're even higher than the 1390 or 1386 that we're at right now. So even if we were at 1386 and at 1390, even if we lost both games, which would lose us 40 points, put us down to 1330 odd, and put us down to 1340 odd. Honduras can only gain 10 points maximum from their 2 results. So they wouldn't catch us just the same. So people, they can't catch us. They cannot catch us. They cannot catch us. They cannot catch us. Anybody that challenged me on that is lying. They cannot catch us. So just know that we're going to be in pot 1, which is where we want to be for the last draw. All right. So people, we have about 20 more minutes to go. But I just wanted to show you guys that because, like I said, I'm a numbers and I'm a stickler for finding out these things. So when I went and did my research, I found out that yes, we are actually in a position that is insurmountable currently in that FIFA ranking. As long as what they're using is the FIFA ranking, the calculator told me we cannot lose enough points and them gain enough points for them to actually pass us. So we will be in that pot 1, which is the place you want to be for that final draw, which I believe is June the 12th. I think it's like the day after. Let me double check. FIFA CONCACAF FIFA World Cup qualifying 2026 CONCACAF. Let's see. I'm actually gonna go here because they have a nice do up on this. Boy, Alex Anderson will lead the qualifying scoring. All right, let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So I'm just using this. Okay, 2023, blah blah blah. Okay, these are all the entrance second round pots. Right, so we're in the pot. So we just want to stay in this top 3 like we were before. And like I said, nothing has changed there. So the first round, second round. So this is just a reminder of where we are right now. We did have some games played yesterday. Saw BVI lose to Dominica 3-0 away from home. So they would have been traveling back home today, probably, as we travel there as well. But Honduras and Bermuda top Group A. Going true to form there in a way, I think. Well, not really. Well, yeah, because Cuba probably would be second favorite to get out the zone. They have only played two times, and they do have matches coming up to get back ahead of Bermuda. Bermuda, I think, drew 1-1 yesterday with the was it Antigua? Yeah, they drew 1-1 with Antigua. So they got another point on the board. Then we move into Group B. Costa Rica first, Trinidad and Tobago second, Grenada and St. Kitts hovering right there, 3 and 4. This is one of the groups that the second place is really and truly well up for grabs, just like in the first group as well. Cuba in pole position though with 1 game less. The same has to be said for Trinidad and Tobago, who have a huge game against Costa Rica on the 10th. That would be probably the make or break game for Trinidad there. But they should have a decent enough chance as well. I don't know why they're not showing the other game they have in this window here. Okay, yeah, they play St. Kitts tomorrow. So yeah, that's going to be a big game for them against St. Kitts. They would love to get to 7 points going into that last game against Costa Rica. Costa Rica, of course, will face Bahamas, so can expect them to get to 9 points after that. So Trinidad really have to keep their Caribbean opponents at bay. Grenada hovering there with 4 points as well. So if Trinidad and St. Kitts were to draw, Grenada would go into that final game knowing that they could shock the world and get that second place. Because Trinidad has to face Costa Rica on that last day. So it's going to be tough for Trinidad. They're going to have to get the job done against St. Kitts in their next encounter, I think, if they want to get to the next round. Group C, we have Curacao, Haiti, Aruba, St. Lucia, and Barbados. So this one really staying true to form. I think both of the top teams, even though they face each other on the last day, should well and truly be good to go once they get there. Both on 9 points. So let's see if they handle their business, and we'll see who actually ends the group on top, which again, FIFA rankings wise is not the biggest deal. Who finishes first or second? You just want to get through to that third round to get into the draw. Then we have Group D. Similar to with Jamaica's group, right now, the second ranked team in the group, Nicaragua, is actually topping the group on goal difference. But Panama does have the matchup against Panama does have the matchup with Belize, similar to with us having to play BVI, where they're expected to turn around that goal difference in this next game. So we'll see if Panama is able to do so going into their final fixture when they will take on Nicaragua. So it looks like the top 2 teams pretty much will be facing each other on the final day of this round, which is good. Same scenario here with Guatemala and Jamaica, but the goal difference is a bit wider of a margin. Yeah, so we'll see how many goals we can get against BVI. They'll be playing their final game on the qualifiers on the 7th. Not really so sure why I guess because they played their game on the 4th, we had to play them on the 7th because we had the game on the 10th. I don't know why it was so imperative to get the game in on the 10th when we could have gotten that extra day and just played it on the 11th. I don't know why. I guess there are no games on the 11th. Is that why? I guess the 10th is the last day, but it just seems like a quick turnaround or too quick, one travel day. I guess that hopefully we travel right after the game done and we don't actually sleep there that night so that we can, at the very least, be in Jamaica for that match day -2. So hopefully that's actually the plan. I think it is, but we shall see what the JFF comes out with. Simon does a good job of putting in the media group when the teams land and when they leave. So we'll get that information in due course. But that's our group, obviously, Guatemala, Jamaica. Guatemala do face Dom Rep actually tomorrow. So I'll be watching that game quite intently to see what happens in that game. Dom Rep probably thinking that, since we play Guatemala in the last day, if they want to get into that top 2 and qualify for this last round, they'll need to get a result against Guatemala in that fixture. And I mean 3 points preferably. They'll live with a 1 point though as well, I'm sure, because that at least means on the final day they might be able to know the tiebreakers. It is goal difference. Okay, so it's goal difference as the first tiebreaker in these rounds. So that's good to know. So they'll have a lot of work to do. So they probably, in all honesty, they more than likely, let me see, who did they play last though? Is it Dominica that they play last? Or is it BVI? It must be Dominica because them play 3 games. And BVI going to play their last game against us. So they'll have Dominica in their last game. So, yeah, I think they would want a positive result for sure. I mean, they have to not lose against Guatemala or else they're out, just about. So, yeah, they need a draw or better. Damn right, that is. And then Group F, you have Suriname, Puerto Rico, El Salvador, St. Vincent, and Anguilla. So this is the only group where one of the top 2 ranked teams in this group is actually out of the qualifying spots right now, and that's El Salvador. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting, people, because if El Salvador don't quite make it through, based on those FIFA rankings, that would just adjust the pools a bit. And a team like Curacao, if El Salvador doesn't make it, would end up in Part 2, which they would, I'm sure, love to get into, to have that better placement as far as, what teams they face in the group against them. So there's a lot of things that can happen in this upcoming window. We'll be keeping track of the FIFA points. Anybody that is like me and wants to keep track on your own, you have that site you can use if you want, and literally you just plug in the team name and it shows you what the points will be based on the results. So you can actually work it out before the time. And I do that just because I don't really like corruption. So if I see any type of foolishness with the points, I have my checks and balances right here, can show them, say, listen man, on a thief we were 0.82 points we were supposed to get, So far, I have not had that happen. So, yeah, that's good. No funny business going on with the points in FIFA. But, yeah, Suriname leading the group. Puerto Rico is there as well. I'd say them and Dam Rep are the 2 teams making the biggest strides as well as Suriname in the CONCACAF region. So, yeah, it's interesting to see which of Puerto Rico, Suriname, Dam Rep actually make it to this final round. Right now, Suriname and Suriname looks the best out of the 3, but Dam Rep is right there as well based on how the fixtures lie in Group E. I could see a scenario where they get into that top 2 as well. But this one is going to come down to all these games. So Puerto Rico plays Suriname tomorrow. That's a huge game right there, right? El Salvador faces Anguilla, so they should get some points. You see they're -18 from their 3 games, so more than likely El Salvador will bag them up, so they will get to 7 points. So that Suriname Puerto Rico game is like so entirely crucial. And then the final game, Puerto Rico gets the chance to face St. Vincent. I know St. Vincent's a dangerous team. I shouldn't leave them out of the equation. They did get their first 3 points against wait, name them now. I think them just beat Anguilla in this round of matches. So they, what they have to offer. They're dangerous on their day. but they will have the big fixture against Puerto Rico on the final day of qualifying, and that will say a lot about whether they have a chance to make it or not. So I think what's going against St. Vincent right now, though, it looks like one of El Salvador or Puerto Rico does have that leg up on them, because even though Puerto Rico will face St. Vincent on the final day, it's El Salvador and Suriname that really will seal their fate. If Suriname is able to take care of El Salvador, then I do see a scenario where St. Vincent could potentially get around there to that spot. But the problem is El Salvador more than likely is going to back up Anguilla and go to 7 points. And that's what is going to be the big issue. So they'll be on 7. Suriname will be on 6 with the potential to go to higher than 6 based on what they do with Puerto Rico. So, I mean, St. Vincent, I don't think, as it stands, have a realistic chance, because I think one of these 3 teams will get to 7 points. And then they're already on 6 with a superior goal difference. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for St. Vincent to get there now that I'm looking at everything. And if their final game was against a side like Anguilla, I would say maybe, but they've already played them. So I don't see them able to get there. So, yeah, St. Vincent probably on the outside looking in. El Salvador should go to 7, which will put them in good stead, and they'll just be watching that Suriname-Puerto Rico game to figure out what the hell is going on there. And they will have known what happened from 6th of June, because they play their game against Anguilla on the 7th. So that's a good advantage for them to have. They'll know if Suriname went to 9 or Puerto Rico went to 7, or if the match draw and they went to 7 and 5. So they'll know what to look forward to. And they'll probably think if that match draws, they have a chance with the opponent they face in Anguilla to get the goal difference advantage going into that last round as well. So a lot of things left to happen, and it should be awesome. So I was right. Draw for the 3rd round will take place on the 12th of June. And basically, that's how the groups will go. You see, the qualifying in first position gets you straight to the 2026 World Cup. And then the top 2 ranked second place teams from A, B, and C will enter the Interconfed playoffs, which will take place in the March 2026 window, right? And that's how they'll rank the teams. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be very, very interesting moving forward. But the good news is, when I did the research about the points, there is no scenario that I found that would see Honduras pass us into pot 1 for the final draw to take place on June 12th. So we have done our work far enough ahead that, look, not saying we should chart these results. We should definitely go for winning the results, because at the end of the day, it's more competitions to come after this that will be using rankings to base everything. So win the damn games, get as much points as possible. But just know, people, don't freak out if you don't see us win the group. We will still be in pot 1. All right, people? That cannot change at all. All right, people, we are close to the end of the program. So I'm just going to take this time to highlight the comments. I'm sure you guys were looking along and had your own things to say. So let me see. I see a lot of Travis War still. So let me stick past them thing there. Have we ever left that? Okay. I had one with something different. It was just explained to me that interim means you are not getting the position, a space holder. Acting means you could get the position. Both titles are supposed to be for a short time. Yeah, I figured there was a reason they used acting and not interim, but I wasn't quite sure, because I figured they're kind of synonyms, to be honest. I mean, you could use one or the other, but there's a distinction that I wasn't making right there, what you just posted. So thank you for that. Yeah, man, me know you're good, Travis. Me know. I don't come from a yard. I don't come a yard for a long time. I should come down. I hear that a lot. Yeah, man, you need to go home, them say. T got on the ball. Big up yourself, bro. Thanks for tuning in. I can hear your comment from here. I remember telling someone that it would be FIFA rankings to determine seeding. Top 3 rankings will not meet against each other. Yeah, there's no scenario based on the points left to play for that they pass us. None. Even if we lose both games, which ain't going to happen anyway. People like CC couldn't be on our corner a yard. We would cry and try fight. With our full squad, we can smack both teams. I agree, Umzo. I don't really see... I mean, I watched the game yesterday, and I'll do my tactical preview, match day -1 tomorrow. And yeah, I mean... While I saw the potential for some threats on the break and stuff, it's really me just trying to overly prepared, because there really was not much for me to be worried about from what I saw in the Dominica and BVI game. It's a boatload of inexperience in their team. The goalkeeper, 18 years old. The back line have an 18-year-old. Two midfielders, 18. I think the highest level that they play at in terms of the players, I saw a couple of players that play National League, which is non-league in England. Some playing even below the National League level in non-league football. So, look, there's not going to be much individually to worry about. It's just a matter of how they apply themselves. I didn't really see them going to any kind of low block. Maybe that was because they were playing Dominica and they didn't respect them so much. But if they try to play the way they played against us, boy, all our attackers are going to have a field day with spacing behind. Conrad Smith, just know, say some people like yourself can only speak to me like this behind a keyboard, bro. Oh gosh, CC, man, why you got this or no? Jason, this is Jamaica. I said there's no way we fail to qualify for the U17. Guess what? We found a way. BM, point taken, bro. Point taken. I happen to think though that some of the issues and reasons why the U17 didn't qualify, we actually have analysts on this team. We have a coach that requires analyst work to be done. So I don't think that some of the shortcomings we saw in the U17 can happen in the senior setup, not based on the people in the coaching staff. Bless up DJ Gigs, or go on, you're late to class, bro. Big up yourself same way. Why fans on YouTube always want to talk badness behind keyboard? I don't know why any of us want to talk badness behind keyboard, because it's a keyboard and a screen, like literally. Like, you guys should just be nice to each other, because in a can't. What's the point of having an argument on the keyboard? It can't, because, and then no, all right, arguments can happen on the keyboard, but why it have to turn to SYM and you forgot to do this with your mother and blah blah blah? Like, obviously when you go to those words, it becomes fighting words now, and you cannot fight through the screen of your computer. So what's the point of going there? It just don't make sense. Massacre mute. We might even walk past you, because me not see man when me a step. Party shop manager back in town, Simpson. Big up namesake, go on. The great Travis. If we can't beat BVI, just disband the federation. Boy, it would be quite embarrassing, I must agree, based on what I saw yesterday. But I am not about that life. I'm just having fun. Life is too short. Yeah, Conrad usually is lighthearted, but I guess people just don't want them to act people. But I mean, if somebody at you and then just ask you a question and is not disrespectful, I don't think that is like anything to get upset about. People converse in the chat all the time, so it's just a next conversation. Yeah, we are in part one, Martin, and we can't move. I mean, even if we lose 2 games, Honduras win 2 games, them can't catch it. You are one and naysayers who want a team to fail to cost JFF. BVI get about 6+, that me buy. Just bet to make easy money. All right, Travis putting money where him mouth there. You can't go against that. Fat and big is not healthy, people. The group could be decided on goal difference. Try to beat BVI by 5 or 6 goals. Yeah. Yeah, man. May I look for everything, boss. Everything. May I check everything. Big deal. Congratulations, Mr. Simpson. You have been holding up Jamaica's football for years now. Keep on doing a great job. So, Wells, I'm glad enough, because I like balancing all convos, and the chat seem to be totally, or for the most part, against. So we have 66 votes right now. So we're going to end the poll and see how it look. So wait down. So we can see the results. Already blue. Okay. So 48% of you worried, 33% of you willing to see how he does, and 18% of you very confident. All right. So I thought maybe the willing to see how he does would be a little higher percentage, to be honest. I figured the very confident would be the lowest out of the 3, because we are skeptics in nature, but generally. Yeah, so I thought the worried and the willing to see how he does would be a little bit closer. So it looks like we're getting a call coming in. So we're going to take this call. This will be the last call, people, because I do want to run. So let me see what's going on. Hello and welcome to Jason Gooner TV. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, man, Jason, that's what, Stefan.
Big up, Stefan. I always enjoy your calls and takes, so I'm sure it will be no different today. What you have to say, big man?
Yeah, man. So real quick on the gen sector. So a lot of times these acting positions, they act long enough until it becomes permanent, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that whilst Mr. Simpson is acting, the JF is actively looking to get a super replacement, right? And preferably for me, that would be someone who has some background in finances, right? Because we want to establish some level of continuity from a financial standpoint. Now, would have seen and heard without some speak about the changes in terms of from a financial standpoint. They are able to be in possession of a tax compliance certificate, which they would have been delinquent for years in not having. Right? The debt should have been reduced significantly. And overall, the JF, in my opinion, is in a much better place financial-wise. So, for me, preferably, I want that person, that individual, to have some level of finance in terms of their background. You want to hear me, Jason?
Yeah. So you said you're curious to see where how he fits into the role in terms of his financial background. Was that the question? Or that's your thought? So just repeat what you said at the end there. Okay, I lost him. I thought it was breaking up a little bit. Yeah, Stefan, I lost you a little bit. Can you just repeat the last part?
Yeah, man, sorry about that. I was saying, what's the last thing here?
So basically, I heard you mention something about like the financial prowess.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was saying, with our heard Mr. Chung speak about, where they are now financially, right? They would have been in place of a tax compliance certificate, which for years they would have been dealing with delinquency not having. And the debt will have been reduced significantly. And overall, to me, I think the JF is in a much better place financially, right? And a lot of times we don't know. I'm looking at it from a different angle as well in terms of sponsorship, because a lot of times sponsors come on board not simply because, or not only because of the track record of companies, but a lot of times based on personnel who are involved, right? So you want to have someone who has that reputation in corporate to be at the helm in terms of where sponsors are concerned, right? So for me, I would prefer them to get someone who understands finances to hold this role, simply because of continuity, because we don't want to go back to the days we were hearing just speak quite about the JF is not in a good place financially, and they don't have any money to do this and that. You understand? So for me, they have to ensure that they get this right, because we might be back in the same place we were 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Nope.
If it's that the person who's coming is not financially prudent, right? Because a lot of money is coming in now. If you do allocate and ensure that you utilize persons who has knowledge in terms of understanding finances from that standpoint, you will be back to square one in a real quick time. You understand?
Very fast. Very fast, because at the end of the day, right, we know that for a long time the JFF was under restriction with funding, and
that was another thing as well.
Yeah.
So restriction would have been
right. And so to me, it's almost, I would think it would be more important currently for the person in that role that's kind of allocating the funding and signing off on everything to be the most prudent possible, because one thing that we need to notice, when you are taking off restricted funding by an organization, I would think that first year to 2 years would be when they'd be looking at you the most to ensure that they have made a right decision. So now is not the time to be taking chances with this funding or, you know, not doing things the perfect ways, because I think someone that was on restricted funding would be the highest candidate to get back on it before anybody else.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So the level of prudency, I think, needs to be just as high now that we're off of it, because I would think that they'd be looking at us, while not as strenuously as when we were on it, but we would be one of the ones maybe in the yellow that they're saying, okay, we need to keep watching and make sure that they do what they have been doing to get off of it, right?
To get off of it. Exactly. And exactly. So, you know, to me, as I said, within this period, the JF have to ensure that they get someone who understands finances from that standpoint and is able to establish that level of continuity, right? So that we're not in the same place we were a couple of years ago, right? So that's really my input at this point in time, and my concern with that is concern. Understand me?
Yeah, man. I totally understand the concern, and you're thinking along the same lines as me in that, you know, I don't think now is the time to be taking chances. You remember, you know, people don't remember things, but I remember when Dalton Wint was leaving his post as the GenSec, the president came out and blatantly said that he knew that he was not qualified for the job when he got the job. And he commended him for what he was able to learn. So we have seen precedent that they don't mind putting people in positions that might not be ready for that position.
Exactly.
So,
and,
you know.
And the thing is, and to be honest, I'm not aware of Mr. Simpson's financial background. I mean, we have seen him in other roles in the JTV for years, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with finances. So, you know, and what good companies do is that once you have personnel with experience, you have people understanding. I'm not sure if Mr. Simpson can understand Mr. Chung in that regard. So, you know, there again, that's another question. So, you know,
and that's the thing, right? I think the step that the JFF made into the right direction, I think, of late, is that there have been quite a few instances where we're actually getting more answers than questions. And to me, this appointment is like heading towards the territory of more questions than answers, which we want to get away from, right? So, yeah, man, Stefan, I want to say respect for tuning in and actually giving some input on the program. Like I said, I've heard you call into various programs, and I've always thought that you have a very measured approach in how you look at things. So, yeah, I do appreciate you giving your input to the program today as well. If you have nothing else to add, I just want to say respect. All right, boss?
Yeah, man. Blessings, Jason. Always really tuning, man. Respect.
Yeah, man. Respect, Stefan. So that was Stefan calling to give his take. Like I said, somebody that I value his opinion a lot of the time. When I hear him calling, I usually listen intently because he seems to only call when he has some prudent points to bring to the table, which I like. So, look, you guys know I love to watch football, and even though it has nothing to do with Jamaica's teams, I plan on watching the Spain-France match today. Doing some scouting for the Arsenal as well. Bertha asked me the other day what players I need to talk about, but I don't think Bertha really rate me because I told him Ryan Shirky we need to grab, and him let Man City going to get Shirky before us. So I'm gonna make the man stop this me, and I might hold out my information from him because it look like it's City people them listening to who I like, you know, and we don't need City to get no more baller with me like, right? But yeah, I want to watch this France-Spain game, people. So I'm going to jump off the stream now. What I will do though, people, I'm going to run through the comment section because a lot had run off while I was talking about the FIFA points. So I'm just going to go through, and if anybody else wants to call while I'm doing these comments, I will take another call, all right? I see CC saying if it's one call, I'm going to take. Oh, and this whole missed chances thing. When I talk with chess, like Travis are telling you, call name. If I say one person going to talk that way, call the name. Sure. Let me see if we actually call a name. And nobody can trick me, CC, but don't do the research. Then can't tell me say nobody can pass me. They can't. It's not possible based on the points that are at play to play for. Let's see. Simpson probably the one man in the JFF the players actually like. Okay. So it's a good appointment for the player side. All right. But as long as the players can make sure that the money being dispersed properly, then I have no issue with that. But I don't need him to be the player's best friend. I need him to do the job correctly. Travis is not a scapegoat elder. Bose actually missed a lot of chances, which he shouldn't, and a £4 million striker. The call not clear? Uh-oh. Jano. Oh, decent now. All right, hopefully it got better. I figured since Cranky's was okay, it was fine with that one, but maybe his was a little low. I should have turned it up. Spain 2-1. I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn on who's going to win the game today. I mean, my head saying Spain. I won't even say my heart saying France, but I just feel like it's such a toss-up. Like either team can take this game, to be honest. It's hard to predict this one, but I'm going to say just based on like recent history, like Spain does, even the Netherlands game, like they just kept turning up with the answer. I just think today will be the same. I think it'll be scoring though. I think it'll be like 3-2 for Spain or 2-2 and it go extra time type of thing. It's going to be a close game and a good game, I think. Just depends on how much of like is Dembele ready to play a game? Like how much celebration did he do? That's a big factor, I think, because Dembele is on some super form right now. And actually, I think Mbappe prefers to play off the left. He doesn't really play there normally. But if I am the coach, I'm not moving Dembele from the role he was playing with PSG. I'm playing him through the middle, which frees up the left for Mbappe. Then he can play Doué on the right. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I think right now, Spain, it just depends too, like who Spain actually start. Let me look at the starting lineup. That will tell me something too. And maybe the man say, yo, because Vitinha never started yesterday for Portugal. So maybe all the PSG people might come off the bench. All right. Unai Simon is the captain. Jaja. Yo, David Raya, you're not getting no ratings from the coach. I'm always a bench for Unai Simon. So it goes still. Pedro Porro right back, Lenormand and Hyson, centre backs. So no Kubarsi. And no, what the next baller from Spain name? I mean from Barca name. He must be injured. Can't not even see him on the team at all. Cucurella left back. Merino Zubimendi, Arsenal connection in the midfield. Pedri in the midfield as well. And then front three, Yamal, Nico Williams, and Oyarzabal. So the two gunmen them on the wing. And Oyarzabal is a clinical finisher. Now for France, they have some big omissions out of this team. I think that's going to hurt them. No Saliba in the team. That's a big loss. Langley playing centre back with Konate. I don't trust Langley at all. So yeah, I think both of the defenses, Lenormand is good, but I don't really super trust him. Can make a mistake here and there. Theo Hernandez, great attacking, not the best defender. Pierre Kalulu, a new call-up in the France team. I think he's very good though. Pavard on the bench, Digne on the bench, Malo Gusto on the bench. So they have a lot of options there. Loic Bade, who we saw at the Olympics, can't break into the first 11. He went with Langley, the experience instead. They have a very good goalkeeper in Manyan. Kone has been good in the deeper part of midfield for them of late. Rabiot starts as well. Usually turns up for France, if we're being honest. And on the system, they have Olise, Dembele, Doué, and Mbappe. What a front four. They're showing Dembele on the right and Mbappe up top. If I was him, I would have played Dembele through the middle, Mbappe left, and Doué right. But I think the coach is going to do it this way. I can probably trust a little bit more Dembele and Doué work rate, in that second line. So I think it should be a great game, people. But I'm going to say somehow Spain find the result today. Somehow. Because even when you look at the teams, France might actually be a little stronger, but not really. Because they have Fabian Ruiz on the bench. They have Dani Olmo on the bench. Isco on the bench, who had a great season. Fermin Lopez, underrated baller. They have the big man, Samu on the bench as well. Morata on the bench. Then France bench. Marcus Thuram, Kolomuani, Badley Barcola, Chouameni, Guendouzi, Zaire Emery, Ryan Cherky. The two side, them big people. Big side. This game should be excellent. But I'm going to go with a Spain win. I think it's close. I think it's a 3-2 win for Spain. But I wouldn't be shocked if France won the game too. It's just one of those where I think both teams going to play damn good. It should be an excellent game to watch for sure. We want unseen for Gensek. Travis Peso team manager. New TVs have to buy on cars. Oh, God. Yeah, the game starts in 18 minutes now. Me know who them attack, man. Me know them not like when JD highlight anything bad about the game. Them just want them say we win 6-love and the other team was garbage. You know, if him say, but we still had some vulnerabilities on the counter or the goalkeeper made a bad decision here. If them now want to hear about that, let's talk about the 6-love only and how we get the 6 goal them. And you know, it no matter that them did the crossbar this one time and one time them did get a lucky offside that was actually onside or whatever. I want to ask you an honest question. If Pinnock played for Arsenal and had the same availability issues for Arsenal as he does for Jamaica, would you want him sold? Absolutely. Without well, I mean, it's only been this year that he's had availability issues for Brentford. And even like towards the end of the season, he just lost his place to Vandenberg. He wasn't injured at the end of the year. He came back from injury, played, and he didn't keep the role. He got taken out of the team. And it wasn't anybody saying that he didn't play towards the end of the season because of injury. It's just not telling the truth. Because it wasn't just injury why he wasn't playing. Because the guy who took his role was injured too. And they both were coming back from injury when they were trying to fight for the spot. And I had mentioned leading up to when he got the benchings that, you know, it's looking like he's leaning towards Vandenberg. He's younger. They just gave him a bigger contract. So, you know, they kind of wanted to work for Vandenberg right now. You know what I'm saying? So they could be going away from Pinnock as a nail-down striker. So I don't know if the question is fair in that sense because he's never really had availability issues for his club. So you can't really say if he played for Arsenal, would I want him sold? I mean, he hasn't had availability issues. He just had one season, this past season, where he had a few little niggling injuries that kept him out, you know? So yeah, I don't think that's a fair question to really ask, but I mean, at face value, yes, I would just say sell him if his availability is an issue. I don't think, I mean, that's why I like Tomoyasu as a player, but I think we should sell him because he's never there. If City steal your baller, yeah, for us. Yeah, I don't really want Cherky to go there, but it looks like it's a done deal just about. Yeah, it's hard to ask the question that way. But I mean, I know why you're asking it, but I mean, that's difficult for me to answer in the context you put it. You want it to be a different because you know the answer is I want him sold. All right. I did say if a call came in while I was reading comments, I would take it. So let me just take this call and I promise you people, this is the last call. Caller, big up yourself. Welcome to Jason Gooner TV. You are the last call, so make it count.
Yeah, man, that's one every calling section, don't know.
Yeah, well, look, about for being up. Come on, watch a game, yeah. I want to eat a food and watch a game, so it soon start. But people, can you please, for the record, I know your voice is recognizable, but let the people them know who is calling into Jason Gooner TV today.
Yeah, man. CC Sports love people, I don't know already, man. The man who likes to beat the most.
Well, I think you and Travis running that competition, so now I forgot to figure out who get more beaten.
But no, man, the whole thing about it, but no, sometime I think with even when I said JD, that give him analysis. I'm gonna tell you that what I don't like. Analysis is okay and everything, but don't make it seem as if if Jamaica beat that team 4-0, don't make it seem as if this team could have won 5-4. But did not win 4-4. Like, there's a reason why there were so many opportunities. There's a reason why these things happen. But if I could point out the thing about giving analysis and saying, oh, you know, the crossbar, they have a couple of half chances. But then Jamaica might have show 5 chances.
Yeah, look, Look, at the end of the day, people, one thing I will never do is tell a next man, like, however he sees the analysis of a game is how he sees it. Now, you can say, me not like it, which is fine. I don't care if you like it or not. But if that's what bothers you about the analysis, then, I understand. So you're saying, at times, he tends to downplay what we have done and overplay what the other team does.
That is just how we see it in my opinion. I don't say the analysis is bad enough.
Yeah.
It's not bad enough. My thing about it is, if Jamaica plays in the Nations League, I will end at the same factor. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to look where there's positives and there's negatives? Because you always have room to improve. You understand? So there's that's what I can say. You don't need to improve on something. But Barcelona still needs to improve. Liverpool want to take this season, but they still need to improve. They didn't win the Champions League. They went out to PSG and they went to penalty. So in anything that you do, you would realize that there is room for improvement. But in terms of a 4-0 victory is dominating a team. No matter how much the team was thrown away, it would have dominated that team. Because the fact of the matter is they did not score on him. So no matter how you slice that, you would have not been scored. So the one thing I can say is that I'm worried about it today. We have conceded in every game that we have played in the last 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, if we go back to the friendlies in Trinidad, that means the friendlies that we played with the local guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was it? Was it 0-0 and 1-0? Something like that?
There's one that there's one in one of them and 1-0 in the other.
Oh yeah, 1-0. Yeah.
Yeah. So that means it's the last 6 games that we played. We only have kept a clean sheet in one clean sheet in the
no, actually two, because the second game against St. Vincent.
Oh, 2. Yeah. We kept a clean sheet in that one?
Yeah, we won 3-0 the second game.
So I'm saying in 6 games, we have only kept 2 clean sheets.
Mm-hmm.
That is what for me. And in the last 2 games, we conceded 4 goals. And so those are the things that I'm worried about. In terms of goal scoring, we would have seen in that St. Vincent games, we scored 3 goals. We come to the Unity Cup score 2 goals, that is 8 goals. So in terms of scoring goals, I see we has worked on creating opportunities and finishing them.
Mm-hmm.
The concession of opportunities and not even just conceding the opportunities, but conceding goals from those opportunities. That's where I think we have a major issue. So if Jamaica wins 4-0, I would look at it and say, Jamaica proves it. Because we are continuing scoring and we are reducing the amount of goals that we have conceded to the point we have conceded. So for me, the biggest concern, and we put it out in this analysis in terms of chances created against us by other teams,
mm-hmm.
which led to us conceding.
Mm-hmm.
We end up getting so. As I said before, the analysis is good. But when I look at it, if we win 4, we have to also acknowledge what coach and the team have done to reduce the chance of being scored upon.
Yeah. I think.
So for me,
I think. Just the only point I was gonna make on the whole analysis and how some might see him do his analysis. I've told him this before personally, so I can say it here. That I get the sense sometimes that he sees that there's such a lack of balanced analysis about Jamaica that he sees the need to go even further against whatever is going on. And I'm like, you don't necessarily have to do that to point out what you want to point out, but that's just how his brain thinks about things, you know what I'm saying? But I have mentioned it to him before that sometimes I feel like you just do it because you know that this side of it will not be spoken about anywhere else. So you make sure to say it and highlight it. And you're like, 17 other programs will say that we did nothing wrong. So I need to make sure I am the one that says, hey, it wasn't all perfect. And this is why I say that. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's why he does what he does. I can't speak for him directly.
I know what I just said, Jason. for me, that what you said is a very good thing, because you can't have everybody keep on saying, oh, we were splendid. Because at the end of the day, like, no team is, a team might achieve, what do we call it now, brilliance over here where you cannot really find anything to say. But when you're playing a number of games, it's all to be room for improvement. During the season, we see our club teams that we speak about. Even as I said before, Liverpool won the Premier League. We didn't win it flawlessly.
True.
You understand? Like, they won it comfortably, but in terms of flawlessly, like, if the people are firing, you could say if Man City after never had so many that's in order to remove that, one could say, even if the four big teams were performing at the time, Liverpool would have still won, then things would have to go like flawless or stupid. And I think that's what it's quite much. Not at the times Jamaica get out of trouble, but it doesn't mean that we have reached to a level where we can comfortably Jamaica is going out there and going to win it. And I like that he brings that through. We kept at the same voice doing everything. Just like you Jason that showed us the point findings and show people that no matter what happens, we don't do a far past Jamaica.
Yeah.
Based on the information he would have given.
Yeah.
That is something that nobody else is doing. I can't see anybody else do it. You understand what I say? So you have to get massive credit for that. If people don't want to even come and fail, if you don't have Jamaica in trouble because they don't, they might find themselves in trouble. You're doing your job.
Yeah.
Nobody can argue with that because you're not giving us the information, giving us the source, and showing us that, this is how we see it, Yeah. For me, I just want to them. But, like, for me, I do a great job. Jamaica do a great job. Frank do a great job. Grant do a film job. I mean, the only thing I'm in life is when the man fight with each other.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of that going on, and I know me's kind of like Switzerland when it comes on to these things. I don't really see the point of like beefing with people on YouTube. Like, what's the point of it? It don't make sense to me. But anyway, I can't tell a man how to live. So if you don't want to beef, you don't want to beef. But my thing is, like, we're not going to ever be one monolithic voice. And I think some people wanted that to happen. Like, we need to be more, making more collabs. And when you look at other places and other spaces and other countries, you see them having round table panels with other people. But my thing is like, I mean, yes, that could be beneficial, but at the same time, wouldn't you rather just each individual bring content and hopefully you would think somebody brings something different to the table? Because all of us not going to be live at the same time. All of us can't watch the same content at the same time. But if there's more content to be watched, and we're all coming from a standpoint of truth and whatever we see as our truth, and we're bringing it to the table, as long as you're coming with facts, and I didn't just come here and say, yo, no matter what I tell you nothing, man, nobody can pass with. What I do, I put it on the screen and I show you. If we lose both games and they win both games, this is the point. They can't catch us. It's not possible. So if everybody, I think that becomes the issue, CC. People take issues with other people's content because sometimes people just talk and they don't necessarily provide any backup to say what they're saying is actually true. And I think that's where the fights come into things. And other times, it's just that people just don't like people. And that's the nature of people, CC. Every day you go around in your life, everybody you talk to, you like them. Or some people you just don't take to them spirit. That's going to happen with YouTubers too. So it is what it is. My thing is...
go on.
To me, it just don't make sense. It don't make sense to be fighting. And I don't think it has to be... Everybody needs to be doing the same, singing from the same book either.
JD, Jason Gooner, I can't tell you this, right? For me, in terms of the final thing I'm going to say, in terms of like collab and all that thing, what people have to understand is that if Jamaica qualifies for the World Cup, I'm sure a lot of us will probably be going to the World Cup. I know I'm going to the World Cup. When if I'm alive, I'm going to be the World Cup. If Jamaica qualifies, if it doesn't qualify, it's a 50-50 for me. But it's in America, so more likely I'll probably be there. But I say this to say, if we are the same in the same time zone, it happens. I'm back to play. You understand what I'm saying? It's not something we have to try to fix. If it's happen, it will happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I have seen where creators might not know other creators, and then like the other day when I think Jamaica was playing a game in, I think it was Florida we were playing, or maybe it was the Champions Cup when Inter did play, and I know some creators did kind of meet each other, and then from that them form some type of friendship, and you see them start collab on things, and things will happen organically, people. The people them where you want to talk to, you have to talk to, and just let it happen that way. Nobody force nothing, nobody try. We need to form a union, and that's foolishness, man. Just make all the content and just know that people have minds and brains, and if they think that you're just on there because you just want to have a channel and you want to be famous for it, people can see through what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I was getting way less people watching me live, and I had to put in the work, and people had to say, oh, this man talks sense or don't talk sense or whatever the case is, and people start to watch me more. But
I pay your dues, man. I pay your dues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some people are not cool with that. Like I know Cranky get upset when him don't get X amount of views and likes and whatever. Cranky, you have to understand, like you're new to this. True. So, but at the same time, I can respect Cranky. You know why? Him tell you how him is. And what you see is what you get. I will live with that. That's why a lot of people say, oh, you can always have Travis on your channel. Him not like nothing what you say. I'm say so what? Travis is himself. I can deal with Travis because I know what I'm going to get. It's the man them will have 17 mouth at them people them not like.
But listen, to be honest though, like for me, the squad that last night we did do a video to repeat the squad I think, but the squad that I see that have been displayed to us and the players that have been selected, like we can work with, especially against BVA and Guatemala and the other players to come in, right? So I don't really have it worries, as I said, going forward in terms of attacking wise, my worries are really defensive. And this is the problem that I had with Pinnock. Like Pinnock is our best defender, we can rely on. It's a team that I say we cannot rely on our best defender. Because for some reason, we took 62 games for a period of time, Pinnock in here for 19 of the 62. Of all the 6 he's been injured. That's 25 games. So that's 37 games that we have not been here. So when we look at it, we say, Bobby that tell me, say, oh, you might work on getting early enough to get into the World Cup. No, it's not say, oh, for me, it's just not be able to rely on your best player. So sometimes people understand that they couldn't player. But the player say, oh, you have things going on because you're a human being as well. Then we can't say, oh, the coach not picking the best players, but the best players might have something to do with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so basically, when we are talking about our best players, you would like us to think more about consistency of showing up for the team when we're analyzing what the best would be. It can't just be about if them play the actual best. You have to factor in like availability. That's what you're saying. Like you would like us to think about that more.
We have to factor in availability because even from the coach's tone, sometimes you hear the coach sound like him himself frustrated because the coach is saying, "Oh, boy, I didn't get to select the players that I wanted to select." Some people read that as if it's grateful not allowing him to select the players that he wants to select. But the next side of it is that he must try to select some players and the players them just say, "Oh, them have something else dealing with at the point in time."
Yeah.
So if you look at two sides of the coin, like sometimes when I'm going to pick it up, Jason, but even like the recent something like Unity Cup, we know it becomes a commitment to club and based on the game plan. So we know that some of the players would not be available. But for example, Tyrese Campbell just finished play off for the championship. And Tyrese Campbell get it and Tyrese Campbell in there. So the coach would have reached out to him. I have wanted him in Europe, but understand that he just going to finish the player.
Yeah, they were close.
Yeah, but 1 week later, he's in the World Cup qualifying squad.
True.
Peter Pinnock have been our best defender when he's playing for us. He's a defender, some of us, whatever is it, not good. But when you call him, for example, him team go up in the player, win the playoff and go up in the next game, and he's saying he's going to focus on his team. When you contrast that with the coming to play for us and winning promotion, what was the best captain that team? And should he focus on that Charlton? Or Tyrese Campbell wants to play for Jamaica to the point where he's saying, yo, what are you doing? Me a forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, even the most like even someone that would defend anything that happens with all the players once they are coming from overseas to play, it's very difficult to put those two things in perspective and not see the difference, because you're right. Leading into that Gold Cup, they would have qualified for the Premier League, and basically how it was told to us was Pinnock is staying to kind of focus on, you know, his initial first season with Brentford in the Premier League, trying to make sure the preseason goes smooth so they can prepare for the challenge of the Premier League, right? And as you say, Campbell is an integral part of Charlton. They have been promoted to the Championship, a big step up for them from League One. And we haven't heard anything about him wanting time to make sure his preparation with Charlton is the best. Now, if he doesn't go to the Gold Cup, then we can say, yes, there's some similarities, because that's the only thing that would be different about that time for Pinnock. At that time, it wasn't a World Cup qualifying time. It was just the Gold Cup, which we know is a much longer commitment. So let's see if going into the Gold Cup, we hear any of those sentiments from any of those Charlton players. I wouldn't expect to hear it from Dixon, since he's not as involved with the first team as of now. But I mean, who knows? Maybe Dixon is looking at it and saying, look, when this championship season forward, I want to be in that damn first team. So I want to be around the preseason. Now, I would be shocked if that happened, but if it does happen, then we can put can make some sense of what Pinnock was saying back then.
Exactly, but to be honest, Jason Gooner, I'm going to leave with this. I'm going to wash out my car. But to be honest, I'm going to show you something. If Tyrese Campbell says he's not coming, he have to focus in terms of the championship playoff and preseason, and Kevin Dixon says he's not coming. What I would take the most with is Tyrese. Because for me, Tyrese is a part of the team. Yeah? So for Dixon, for me, you know.
So it would have made more sense if Dixon said it, because he might have more work to do to get into Charlton. Okay.
Exactly. So that made more sense if Dixon say, oh, boy, I know say me have to focus on this thing to break through more than Tyrese, because Tyrese is at where Dixon is trying to get to. If you understand what I say.
Yeah, no, Movers where I said. That's
yeah, so we don't like the Tyrese come and available to us, then Dixon. If Tyrese can come and Dixon get it. And there's not that knock on Tyrese trying to focus on his championship team, but I just think Tyrese would be in a better position to keep that on the post than Dixon, even if Dixon come and play thing in a team. But I think it is more important for Dixon. A preseason, full preseason is more important for Dixon than Tyrese. Then it would be for Campbell. That's just my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, like even Madison, Rumor, and some of those other players, I think because they're establishing their team, I think it would be more important for players that are less established to get that preseason and be better and break through the team. And then September, we can look at it like that. So if I was the coach, I look at it and I say, oh, Tyrese Campbell. I don't know, I don't think I would give Dixon the opportunity to make himself. They give himself the chance to bring one Charlton and not pick him for the Gold Cup and just bring Tyrese and somebody else. But pick up yourself, Jason.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I start watching Spain-France game. But respect for the call. And yeah, man, go and support the channel. We love the support. And everybody, CC also has a channel as well. So you guys, you know, sometimes people just like to be on channels to beat. And I love to beat CC. So you might get some joy watching him content, so you can leave a comment beating him, you know. But yeah, I think CC, when him fling on him head in the right place, he does make some valid points. I think sometimes what he France should have finished that 3.1 and them no score. cheese and peas. But yeah, I think sometimes similar to what he accuses JD of, he does on the flip side. And I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of people that talk about Jamaica football. They sense the need to defend something. We have to defend. People, stop trying to be such a defender of something and just look at each thing in context, whatever it is. So just because you defended this side on this topic, don't mean every single time this conversation comes up, you have to defend the same side. That's the only thing I have an issue with. Put each separate thing in its own place and deal with it accordingly. All right, people, listen, we're not running out no more. We're done. The game kickoff is end-to-end. Spain started out pressuring them and a shot on Mannion there. So, yeah, this game looked like it's going hot like I thought. So, people, I told CC he seldom make good points. Today was one good point, CD. Yeah, I won't say how much he does and doesn't, but I have heard him when I think, honestly, whenever CC is speaking to someone that can kind of guide his thought a little, you hear some coherent things coming out. Is when him go off on him rampages and he's not checked in any point. Sometimes I think him lose the main point that he could have given. But that's just my take on when I hear CC talk. But anyway, people, big up on yourself. Thanks so much for tuning in. At the end of all these programs, you'll hear these words. My name is Jason Gooner. This is Jason Gooner TV. And please do smash the like button on your way out. And remember, come on, you reggae boys. Come on, you reggae girls. And today was about you guys. So come on, JFF.